Give me all your candy.
Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Everybody come see the greatest show. Gather up all juggalos and roll. Yeah! Down, Diddy, down, get your ass up and wait, cause here we come and we springing this spectacle of Indian town. We got creep shows, working. The people don't like these oddities. Most people would love them a shot at these. If you think it's too good for us, sideshow freaks, let me know. And I'ma whip smack your cheeks, come on.
Live from the Pinfall Walking Show Studios of America, it's the Pinfall Wrap-Up, brought to you by Frigidari. Thank you for checking out the Pinfall Wrap-Up. I am your host, Howard, and alongside...
Howard Finkel, really?
No, it would be like, I gotta get my guy Howard Finkel thing. The following fuck that. All right.
The following poncho.
The following podcast is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the Frigidari Championship. Introducing first, Andrew Karachi, alongside
No, go for it.
Robert Raw.
Yeah.
You're just throwing in random sponsors now?
No, they're totally sponsoring our show. Like Pepsi, do the cola.
Delicious.
I don't know how you drink that shit.
I love these.
It's not
All
good.
right. Okay, we're talking about the Pepsi 1893 Ginger Cola. I love them.
I've never had that one.
They're pretty good.
The other one's
It's like if
the
you
other one's weird, dude.
if you dumped a ginger ale in a Pepsi and barely mixed it and then took a shit in it. That's how this tastes. It's really good. It's an acquired taste though.
I need to know. Can you carry him back up?
That's
You're not going to want that much.
it's not bad. Just
It's bad.
give it a little
Give it
bit.
like 2
give
seconds
it a little bit,
and
and
then
then
spit it out.
It smells.
No, it's not good.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
It's not the same thing.
It's pretty good.
You like it?
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
pretty good. It's not bad. I could drink that.
Tastes like fucking toothpaste.
Tastes like food.
Okay. So, what kind of ginger ale do you like? Do you like Canada Dry?
Sure, it's all pretty much the same.
No. Every ginger ale tastes significantly
Whatever.
different. Do you like Sprecker's ginger ale?
Sprecher's has got the best one.
See, now that shocks me because Sprecker's ginger ale is surprisingly close in flavor to this one.
Yeah, that's not far off from the Sprecher's.
It's just a little more cola-y.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like Sprecher ginger ale with like a hint of cola.
Yeah.
Like just a hint. That's how I
Okay, so
describe
no one
it.
knows what the hell you're talking about because we didn't specify anything.
I think I started off by saying we're talking about Pepsi 1893, the ginger cola.
Sure, I don't remember that at all.
I'm pretty sure I said that. I don't know. I
We'll
might be
go with
losing
that.
my mind. Doesn't matter.
What do we have in store tonight? Moving on.
Moving on from the ginger cola. Anyway, in store tonight, we have our review of last Monday night's Raw, the following night's SmackDown. We'll get into some news from the world of professional wrestling. I don't know if you've been following the TNA stuff, but it's kind of interesting, like what's going on with like the whole Billy Corgan lawsuit and all that. And then we'll have a top 10 list. We're going to do top 10 video games, our favorite top 10. We each have our own list right now. So we each came up with our top 10 before the show to kind of expedite things instead of us kind of sitting around going,
Oh, kind of like how we started the show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 So, anywho. So, do you want to get into a little bit of the news going on first?
Yeah.
All right. Fruit Snack City. Thank you. So, have you at all followed the stuff with TNA? Like, what's going on with all that stuff?
Kinda.
All right. So, as it stands right now, Billy Corgan is suing Dixie Carter, and actually,
For
somebody
breach of contract, right?
yes, it's for like I forget how many 100,000 it is. So they're suing TNA right now. There's a travel agency that's currently suing TNA, saying that they haven't paid up in a long time. There's like 3 banks that have stepped forward who are suing TNA. Do you see them making it through all of these lawsuits?
No.
Is there any? I mean, there's got to be like damn near zero.
What Vince is
Chance in
doing
hell.
is he's waiting for it to all settle, and he's going to buy it for like a candy bar. And a Coke.
Correct. I think at first he showed interest, and then he might have been like privy to like some of the financial documents of the company and kind of stood away, right? Because like if you buy that company, you're assuming all of that shit that comes along with it. So he probably just is figuring to auction off all the assets of the company.
Vince doesn't want the company, he wants the tape library only.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy Corgan wants the company. And they wanted to work something out where Corgan would get the company and Vince would get the tape library.
Right.
That kind of sucks because that's kind of like, I don't know how you can, unless he gets in a relationship with Billy Corgan, and it's different than Dixie Carter.
My understanding with their tape library, they own a significant portion of NWA stuff.
Right.
By the way, I guess Jarrett purchased a ton of it way back when.
Yes.
So it's not just TNA stuff that they own. They own a bunch of other shit too that I think he wants. More so than the TNA stuff. Correct.
Right.
So...
And he wants to get Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe locked down 2008. I mean, they want to throw that on the network.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're talking about streaming Ring of Honor and all types of shit through the network. That's coming, I guess, relatively
through WWE
soon.
Network?
Mm-hmm. Correct. They want to do a multiple tier system for the WWE Network where they're gonna have a free package, and the free package will allow you to have like 30 minutes of something per week, or they'll have like X amount per month that you'll be able to watch, and you'll be able to watch like clips. Pretty much the stuff that they upload to YouTube will be the stuff that you'll be able to watch free through the network. But I think they'll give you one non-pay-per-view show or something like that. So you might be able to watch like NXT every week or something. It's something really weird like that, but you'll be able to see what is available on there. But when you select it, it will tell you not available. The next tier up from that, I believe, is like a $5 package, which will increase the amount of content that you're able to watch, but it leaves off the pay-per-views. You cannot watch any of the pay-per-views with it until like X amount of time after the pay-per-view is passed. So you won't be able to watch pay-per-view live. The $10 package stays the same. And then there's going to be a package above that where there are going to be other companies streaming through the WWE Network.
Interesting.
So I guess the ones that they mentioned so far are TNA and Ring of Honor, but they want to do like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, a couple of the English ones. I'm not familiar with their names. Like I don't know if one's called like Evolution.
IWC CPT.
Yes.
The
and
Pro Wrestling Noah.
That was one of them mentioned.
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
They didn't. I don't think NJPW is going to do anything with it.
PWG.
Yeah, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla is one of them. There's one that does
Bruce
a lot
City
of work.
Wrestling?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go that low. So there's one that they do a lot of stuff through. What's NXT's feeder? Not Ring of Honor or TNA. Not those two. They are their feeder, but not those two. There's one that they do a lot of shit with. Evolve.
Yeah.
Evolve is one that is already like on board to do all of their shit through them too. So all of those I think that's a $15 tier for that one. So
What's the $20 tier?
I think it was just like the 4 tier. I think it was just like the free, the $5, $10, and the $15.
The $20 tier will get you a lunch with Wade Barrett.
The $20 tier actually could be I will navigate the WWE Network webpage for you and set up your subscription.
Are you familiar with Sam Roberts?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just listened to him on Vince Russo's podcast.
Okay, so on YouTube, he's got he posts a lot of his radio shows. They're live on YouTube, and the most recent one he had, I think, was Cody Rhodes. And
how'd that go?
That was good. It was really good because Cody Rhodes talked about the planned escape, about how he said that he didn't want to get fired from WWE. He wasn't going to allow that. He wanted to quit. He says, nobody gets to quit. You either get fired or you're released. I wanted me to fire them. And he said that after he was okay with the Stardust gimmick in the beginning, but then he said like, okay, this has run its course. It's time to
Correct. It ran its course after like 4 months.
Right. And he didn't want to come back as Cody Rhodes after his dad died because he said that's a cheap way of trying to get use someone's death as a prop, and he didn't want to use his father's death to try to gain popularity. So he stayed Stardust a little longer after that, and that was his choice to do. But then after he said he was pretty much done with it, he said, no, like, Stardust is Stardust. Like, if he was going to do Stardust, he wanted to be his version of Stardust, but they wanted him to be like Goldust. He's like, well, that's Dustin's thing. Dustin's Goldust. I'm Cody Rhodes. Dustin's Goldust. If you want Goldust, go ask Dustin to be Goldust. it was like he talked about his relationship with his father, about how it was way different than Dustin's relationship with Dusty. Yeah. Share with the class.
I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you here.
Share with the class. So So then Cody Rhodes also said that his plan to escape, he used social media as a way to try to get out of WWE, and he pretty much wanted out. Then they asked him what he's like. So there's rumors that you might be returning sometime soon, like maybe the Royal Rumble. And he laughed. He's like, I don't think I'm going back there anytime soon. He's like, we'll just say that there's not a lot of love lost right now. So I guess it was from what I'm getting from it, it was really bad. He also said it was going to be him and a group of guys that were all going to leave at the same time, and he was the only one who left. None of the guys left. They all kind of backed out last second. He said that he's not going to say their names because he's friends with them and doesn't want to get them in trouble. He said the majority of them still work in WWE. I think he said one already left. I think he might be talking about Barrett or McIntyre, one of those guys. That's going to be my guess.
I would assume Barrett.
Yeah.
Because Barrett left under his own terms, too.
Right.
So.
I think it was Barrett. If I had to speculate on who these guys were, the other guys, I would probably say Ziggler is probably one of them. Maybe Ryder. Because I'm trying to think of maybe who Dolph Ziggler's friends with. And I don't think The Miz had any interest in leaving.
No.
Maybe Zack Ryder. Maybe.
I can see Ryder. Yeah, I can see Ryder, Sandow.
I mean,
maybe
Connor and Victor?
No.
Cesaro?
Maybe,
he also said that Cesaro killed his career by getting injured. It killed his whole career. He was joking, of course. He said, because remember when they were doing Stardust with the Ascension and they were taking over the Cesaro section and that kind of stuff? They had their own section. Then Cesaro got hurt and killed the whole angle. So he's like, Cesaro killed Stardust.
Yes. That's what did it. That was the problem.
And so he was so sick of Stardust. He also said there was
wouldn't that be a great tattoo for my lower back?
Fruit is our number one. Why our? You want to change it to my number one ingredient or just our?
I'm fine with our. No.
Yeah.
I just want to put this one down.
Family farmer owned. Jesus Christ.
No.
At that point, it's a brand. It's not even going to be a tattoo. They're just going to brand it on there.
It's just a Woodman's tattoo at that point. So anyways, that was Cody Rhodes. There are also like some other stuff on there. Like he's got interviews with just about everybody. Like anyone that Jericho had contact with, so does Sam Roberts. He's got the one with Kevin Owens is really good. That's from last year, right before SummerSlam, I think. Or no, it was most recent. It was right before this year's SummerSlam, where they asked him how much does he what does he eat on? Because he mentioned something about how he's got a lot of time. He doesn't really go to the gym, and he said that they asked him, what do you eat? And he's like, a lot of carbs. He's like, I had some pizza this morning. He's like, clearly I don't really keep track of what I eat.
Yes.
And people laughed. He also said he was the biggest Stone Cold fan when he was younger. He said he had Stone Cold posters in his room and that kind of stuff. And he's like, and I was 20. And I had Stone Cold posters up in my room still. I think the lady said like something about bed sheets. He's like, no bed sheets. It's kind of weird. And then it came back. It came back again about the bed sheets thing. He's like, I don't have Stone Cold bed sheets. That was never a thing. I don't even think those exist.
I had the Rock ones. So yes, the Stone Cold ones did exist.
I had the
because mine was like it said the Rock and then it had the Brahma Bull. It was that design all over.
I had a Rock poster that my dad got me
like 9.
one year for Christmas, and I fucking hated it because I hated The Rock back then. And I remember I wouldn't go to my dad's house for the weekend. I'd have to look at that fucking Rock poster every fucking day until one day I just got mad and ripped it off the wall.
You could have just told your mom that your dad beat you, and then you would have never had to see it. And then
then I wouldn't have been able to go to my basement. I had
where he actually did beat you. That's where the beatings took place. That's true. If you didn't go over to his house,
right.
You didn't have to go to the basement. That's a fact.
There was the Stone Cold picture in the corner. Then I had the Rock thing up there, and then there was like one that was Rock, Austin, and Angle. It's kind of random. That Angle was kind of put in there. It used to, yeah. So, and then I had a John Elway one up there too somewhere. So
Fuck it.
that was my thing.
John Elway. All right.
So what else? What else we got?
I guess the whole new season of Total Divas revolves around Paige and Alberto Del Rio.
Total Divas is still a thing. I thought it was Total Bellas now. So they got another show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's two. There's two. Yeah, it's gonna be season 6 of Total Divas.
Oh, the John Cena heel turn rumor that's been floating around. Have you read about
No,
that?
I haven't heard about that.
Okay, so one website reported that he's gonna be turning heel, and a lot of it they say has to do with the Total Bellas because they're making him out to look like a fucking asshole on that show. And
they're not making him out to look like one. He is one.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. And they figured that if he continues down that road as people keep watching that show because they're plugging the fuck out of it on Raw and SmackDown, that the audience will he'll like slowly kind of turn heel. I don't think it's happening.
Okay, so here's the issue with that. I think there's zero crossover audience between the two things.
I think so too.
I think
it might be
there's
3 people.
absolutely zero fucking crossover. I think people have no idea what professional wrestling is, and they're on the E Network. And people who watch the E Network will watch anything that's remotely like the fucking Kardashian shit that's out there, like Rob and China, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim and Khloe go fuck themselves, all that stupid stuff. So anything that remotely looks like it, sounds like it, Real Housewives, all that kind of good stuff, they will watch. I think this show is similar enough to all of those other shows that the people that are into that reality TV kind of stuff with the drama and the women and the makeup and all that will watch that. Regardless of what it is, if it was Total Bellas, Total this, Total that, they don't care. They don't know who the Bellas are, but this show looks like something they'd watch, so they have an audience. I think the crossover appeal between Raw and Total Bellas or Raw and Total Divas or any of that is there. It's a very, very small portion of the audience. You don't watch it. I'm aware of it. I don't watch it though. I don't think the majority of the audience watches it or knows. We'll kind of keep up. We'll read on like the wrestling sites, like the stories about like how John Cena is perceived, like kind of like what you just did there. But I don't think it will actually lead to anything because not enough people watch. It's just there's not enough of a crossover.
That's what they got. That's why they're really pushing John Cena and Daniel Bryan because I figure that's gonna draw your. I think
John Laurinaitis is on the show too. Do you know the premise of Total Bellas? Do you know what it's all about?
I don't want to know. Don't care.
Don't
care.
Trust me on this one. It's fucking horrible. It's fucking horrible. Okay, remember when Nikki hurt her neck or whatever, and she did that surgery? Okay, so she was recovering at John Cena's
all the
house.
people over.
So she needs John Laurinaitis because John Laurinaitis is fucking the shit out of her mom or whatever. So John Laurinaitis and Nikki Bella's mom are a thing.
Oh, where's Bella?
So they're moving into the house.
I'm the executive vice president of your crotch.
Yeah, so, and then she needs Brie and Daniel Bryan there to help too, because now with all of these people, she'll be able to recover better because, nothing's better than having 500 million fucking people around when you're recovering from neck surgery. It's great. Every doctor recommends it. So that's the whole premise of the show. And now it's the goofy antics that all 6 of them get into. That's it. Don't you want to watch? You look like you want to watch.
I don't watch reality TV. I'll just say it straight up that I don't.
So you still haven't watched Chris Lee Knows Best?
No.
I've asked you so many times to watch this
that.
show.
I didn't watch Tough Enough. I don't watch any of that shit. I don't like reality TV. Never have, never will.
Okay. So I'm literally going to chain you to your wall. and turn your TV
You can't.
on
You're not gonna chain me to the wall.
a 24/7
There's no wall
of
to
Chris
chain
Lee
to.
Knows Best.
We're doing this podcast out in space. There's no wall.
I'm chaining you to the moon and projecting an Earth-size image of Chris Lee Knows Best.
Yes.
And
Yes.
no, those shows are fucking horrible.
They're bad.
They're bad. All similar enough that if you watch one, you probably could watch any of them.
They're all the same thing. That's why I don't watch them.
That's where the audience comes from for these shows.
I know.
It's not the pro wrestling audience.
No, maybe.
It's not the 300,000 people that are left watching Raw. It's
People love reality TV. I don't. I never have.
well, the networks love it because it's cheap to make.
Yeah, no, that's
Because you don't need
you don't have to
one.
hire actors.
Correct.
You just hire fuckers. Whatever. People make fools of themselves. What else we got?
News-wise, there really wasn't a whole lot else going on. Nothing major I can think of. There weren't really any.
Paige got suspended again.
Well, yeah, that did happen since the last one. Okay, yeah, so she's serving now a 60-day suspension for her second.
She's trying to get herself fired, it looks like.
Yeah.
So she proposed to Alberto Del Rio.
Which
on a
they're
live
going to
show.
have on Total Divas. The E! Network congratulated them and immediately tweeted out that you'll be
I
able to
guess
see
it's
this.
not a WWE show.
You'll
it's
be
a
able
TV
to
show.
see this on the 6th season of Total Divas.
I can't do this anymore.
All right, Vince Russo.
At that point.
The podcast or wrestling?
Yes. So,
Okay, good answer. Good answer.
wrestling. I fucking so done with it. All right. Should we shoot through Raw?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, have you heard Russo's podcast lately?
he said that he's done with wrestling.
Correct. He said he's 100% done with it. He
Okay.
can't anymore.
Okay. He's gonna do it because that's where his listeners come.
Did Roberts one?
No.
Sam Roberts told him the exact same thing.
Okay.
Because Vince Russo was asking him, like, what do you think I'd have to do to, get away from wrestling? What would I? And Sam Roberts was like, well, since you made yourself an on-screen character at WCW, and that's how people know you, it's going to be extremely hard for you to get away from that because that's all people know you for. And that's how you've defined your entire career.
That's what he's done. His whole
So
career,
it
he's
would
been
be
a
like-
wrestling writer.
Like,
He's not like Jesse Ventura, where Jesse Ventura has ventured out and done a lot of
everything.
different
I mean,
things.
fuck, he was in Predator in the 80s. Like, he's acted. He's been a politician. He was a fucking governor of Minnesota. I mean...
I like how the common thing is saying that The Rock is the only professional wrestler to really make it outside of pro wrestling.
Oh, absolutely not.
And Jesse
no.
Ventura, I would have to say,
Is
is
a governor.
probably right on par.
TV shows. He has his legit radio show. He was an actor. I mean, a governor. Like, that's big. That's huge.
He was also
Navy SEAL.
he was also White Thunder, and no, he was
That sounds like a code name for like a
he was
clan
either, I think he was either Black. No, I think he was White Lightning in Major League 2. Him and Willie Mays Hayes did a movie during the off season of Major League 2, and it was Black Hammer and White Lightning or whatever, and they just killed terrorists by shooting them in the assholes.
Yes.
Well, okay.
That's the only way to take down a terrorist.
Have you ever seen Major League 2?
No.
Okay. Well, obviously it's a baseball movie, and during they had like a mini film on the side, which it's not really a real film; it's fake. But it's like this is what I did during the off season. And Jesse Ventura played the other actor, and they clank guns, and they're just shooting their guns up and like stupid action film.
Okay.
And they even show like parts where a guy like did a flip. And like they cut to another scene where he like flipped off a building and landed on his he jumped from a helicopter. It was Jesse Ventura jumped from a helicopter. He's like and fell and just landed on his feet like normal with no impact or anything. And the guys were watching on the couch like, what? No.
Jesus.
It's kind of
Sounds kind of amazing.
It is. But yeah, Ventura's he's interesting.
Yeah, he is. He makes sense. It's hard to disagree with. really anything.
He's a crazy person. Don't get us wrong. He also says that he likes to disappear. He says it kind of like this. Like there's times where I like to go off the grid for a couple of years. I go down to Mexico and get myself lost, and it's a 5-hour drive. I drive down there, and every time I drive down there, it's something different. Sometimes I don't know if I'm going to get killed on the way down there. Sometimes it's perfectly peaceful. And there's no internet, no electricity, nothing for the government to find me.
You would think he's crazy until you realize that he's not. Is actually
Right.
I mean, people would listen and think this guy's a fucking nutcase. That like all the rich and famous people and like government officials all have their basements coated in like wire mesh so they can't like have surveillance operatives view them, and they're storing like years of food and stuff like that. And then you look at someone like Jesse Ventura and you're like, oh wait, shit, he isn't that crazy now, is he? Holy fuck.
Yeah, he's
like
kind of anytime like on my podcast feeds I see his name on anything, he's very interesting to listen to.
I didn't like the one he did with Jericho. Or not Jericho. It was Jericho. I think that was the last one he did, because Jericho kind of just, you could tell he didn't know how to handle him. He didn't know how to handle his level of crazy. Right. So Jericho just, okay. He just like said like.
Well, he's probably thinking like, shouldn't have had this guy on.
Correct.
Because he's got that like working relationship with WWE, and Ventura's kind of like no filter, no nothing on him, and I don't think Jericho's a big into politics at all.
No.
Jesse Ventura is clearly.
Correct.
He hates them both.
Ollie was kind of rooting for Trump, but that changed. I take it.
He doesn't like the Republican Party or the Democratic Party.
Correct.
He says that he's friends with Trump. That if he were to, he said that Trump would never get into a real debate with him because he knows he'd lose. Because I'm a professional wrestler and we're the best talkers on the planet. It's what I did for a living.
Roman Reigns is crying in a corner. Roman Reigns. No, I'm not.
Well, he also says he's the greatest color commentator of all time.
Possibly.
He probably is.
Possibly. He was really good.
He was.
Like, and then you got a taste of that again in 2010 when it was him and Vince.
And it was amazing.
And it made you miss him and Vince on commentary.
Right. He had perfect chemistry with Vince. It was amazing.
Yeah, JR was good, but people give too much credit to JR.
JR wasn't a color commentator. He was.
I'm just saying, as a commentator, as anything in general, when it comes to the commentary team, like he was.
Well, Jim Ross is probably the best play-by-play guy.
He was all right.
Who else is better?
I think after.
You're gonna say Michael Cole.
Michael Cole is on.
But that's it. That's really all you got left. Unless you're gonna go Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon was amazing.
Right.
Vince McMahon was really good.
He was.
Like, that was his thing.
Right.
So.
I think that Jim Ross is.
You're not familiar with the WCW commentary team at all.
No.
Like.
Well, fuck him and Mike Tenay and Donald West and.
They. There were times. I mean, they've had CM Punk. There's CM Punk on commentary.
Color commentator.
Yeah, he is.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about play-by-play as far as having long span of
No one
career.
necessarily makes that distinction when they're talking about like the best announcer of all time. Or
I do.
You do.
I think there's a difference because Jim Ross. Because I would put Michael Cole as one of the best colored guys because when he was doing not literally colored,
I was gonna say he's white.
but when he's still color. Anyways, when Michael Cole was a heel, 11 in 2010. So I mean, like, if he was pretty good at it because he played a lot of because they brought Jim Ross back and he was doing play-by-play while Michael Cole was doing colored for a while. and he would just rip on Michael King.
Do you think we ever see Jim Ross back?
WWE?
Yeah.
Well, eventually at one
Do you
point.
think he'll go back into the role?
No.
Do you think that it's possible of David Otunga and bring
Yes.
back Jim Ross?
No.
Wouldn't that be awesome, though?
I think that they.
I would actually watch SmackDown again if they brought JR back.
I don't think Jim Ross is coming back anytime soon. I could see him coming back and maybe announcing Triple H's last match, because Triple H is a huge Jim Ross guy. Triple H actually brought Jim Ross back for him and Undertaker's match when him and Undertaker fought. Because he thought that might be Undertaker's last match at that point, and they wanted to make sure it was special because this will be end of an era.
What year was that?
2012.
He was not even gone long at that point.
Right.
So,
But they were
yes.
They were billing it as end of an era match. That these two guys were supposed to be wrestling in a big main event, even though they wrestled the very next year. Fucking stupid. But
Here we still are with both of them. Triple H just signed a deal last year for a 3-year performance contract.
yeah, because he's going to wrestle Goldberg.
You think so?
No, absolutely not. That match is not happening again.
I was going to say, because I don't know who would carry that match.
It'd be terrible.
Although Triple H carried his match with Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns isn't like terrible. He's bad, but he's not terrible.
Triple H made him look bad. Yeah, Triple H made him look really bad because Triple H got in like super good shape this last time around, and yeah.
I'm trying to think of like some other instances how they can fix up the announce team. Get JBL the fuck away from Morrow. Corey Graves away from Michael Cole. I think that's like your number one thing you got to do, and it's a simple fix. You can just put Corey, and I understand they want to push Corey Graves as like your top, like kind of your top color for Raw. Try to get that rub off Michael Cole, but Michael Cole never acknowledges anything he says.
Correct.
And that's the problem.
It's really weird. It gets to the point where it's weird because
awkward.
they act like they don't exist. Like he'll try to engage Michael Cole. It's just silence.
Right. He doesn't say anything, though. He doesn't acknowledge him. And I think that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't acknowledge him, and I think that that's a problem. Because that's exactly what they do.
Exactly.
Michael Cole will fucking not listen to a shit Corey Graves says. It's almost like he doesn't get his feed. That's how it feels.
Right.
That's how it feels.
Well, I think one time he asked Byron, he's like, hey, Byron, what do you think of that match? And then Michael Cole would say the same exact thing like a minute later. It's that bad. JBL, though, is getting better. With Morrow can pretty much work with just about anybody.
Morrow's been fucking up a lot lately.
It doesn't matter, though. He's still very new to it.
Yeah.
It's his first full year. I mean, last year he was kind of there, but not really. So he's gonna. Michael Cole fucked up all the time when he started.
We were talking about it before the show. My theory is they're going to take...
Well, then why do we need to talk about it?
True.
Just kidding.
That is true. My theory is they're going to take David Otunga off of commentary.
Correct.
I don't know what they'll do with him. They'll probably put him in some kind of backstage role where he interviews or whatever.
He would look good in a suit.
And they will bring Daniel Bryan out to commentary.
That's possible.
I feel like that's highly possible. Like...
I think they need to get rid of him as GM first.
They can have him do both. They did it with Vince.
Yeah, but Vince was not the on-screen authority figure.
There were a few months where it overlapped with the whole Hart thing.
Yeah, when he was exposed, and then he
quickly shuffled off of commentary after that. I know, but
I don't think Daniel Bryan's doing terrible as a GM at SmackDown. I think it's fine for what it is.
I think the GM role is strange on both shows because you have Stephanie breathing down Mick Foley's back,
which makes no sense.
Like that's all that's happening is you have right when Mick Foley was starting to look like legit. Like they build him up to look like a legit character. A couple weeks ago, where she just fucking lopped his balls right off. So like I do not understand what they were doing there. Like
I remember that, and I was like, "What the fuck is
like
this?"
They were making him look like independent or who you work for. Yeah, it's like okay, well, fuck that. That whole thing where if this fails, I get fired. If this happens, I get fired. No matter what happens, I get fired. So I need to do this. And it's like, oh, Jesus, you're not believable anymore. So
right. I really like the 2-man announced team, but looks like WWE is totally.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. It's because they're afraid of dead air. So if you have 3 people,
I don't think that's an issue. I don't remember
either. But maybe they feel like
you just have to put the right people on the announce team. As long as it's 2 people that have great chemistry, you don't have to worry about the dead air. You don't put 3 people together that have absolutely no chemistry
This is not the most fan-friendliest thing to say because everyone wants to have something new. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I kind of miss King and Morrow.
That wasn't bad.
I didn't think it was. King was really taking the heel side of it back to what he was, just more of a cleaner version, which was fine because I thought King, outside of the whole like acting like a pervert thing, I actually liked King on commentary. When he was announcing the main events and the men were wrestling and that kind of stuff, he would pick a side and he was
why couldn't you have Corey Graves fill that role?
I think Corey. Well, he could, but I think Corey Graves needs to stay on Raw.
So what about
because Corey Graves is a strong color commentator, and Paul Heyman said he's the best commentator in wrestling right now.
Who?
Paul Heyman said that.
Corey Graves is?
Mm-hmm. At right before SummerSlam this year on the Sam Roberts show.
It's fascinating.
Yep, he said that Corey Graves has the most important job. His most important job is to make sure he puts everybody over, and he does that better than anyone else right now on commentary. So that's Paul Heyman not giving a fuck, too. So, I mean, he doesn't give a fuck. Paul Heyman would be an awesome guy to have on commentary, but he's never going to do that.
Yeah, give him 3 hours worth of a live mic.
Right. Well, now we'll see. It was fine when he first came in because he didn't have that, like, personality that he has now. Now he has that, like when people see Paul Heyman, they think, oh, shit, his mic's going to get cut kind of promo.
Right.
He didn't have that when
Paul Heyman just needed a job back then. So,
well, and I think Vince had a good relationship with ECW, and ECW had a good relationship with WWE. So I don't think Vince needed to buy ECW. I think he just kind of did it as a favor because he felt he wanted to give some of these guys jobs because he was getting guys from them a lot. They were a feeder to him for like the longest time. And Paul Heyman, he always liked Paul Heyman, so he kept him around to the point where he even gave him an opportunity to run a show, like legit run SmackDown. You don't give that opportunity to someone who
Eric Bischoff never even got that opportunity.
Eric Bischoff would have never gotten that opportunity because Eric Bischoff burnt that bridge. Now, if Eric Bischoff wasn't so Eric Bischoff had a way different role. I would have to say Paul Heyman. He was on a bigger network, bigger show at the time, and they were direct competition with WWE. ECW really wasn't. ECW was kind of the alternative.
Correct.
And that's why WWE didn't see them as competition. They saw them as more, well, if people watch ECW, they're going to watch WWE.
That's why they have a good relationship with Ring of Honor.
Right, because more people that watch wrestling, it's better. Now, I think there's a possibility that if Billy Corgan does get TNA, which I
don't think that's possible.
Let's just, for the sake of argument, let's say he gets it. And I think that there's a possibility that the relationship with Vince and TNA, the wounds could heal a little bit because he's not out to try to kill WWE like Dixie Carter was. Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett. So, because Jeff Jarrett would bring on guys from WWE and have them cut promos against WWE. A lot of the guys, would want to, but when you first get fired from a company, well, I don't know. I've never been fired from an important job that in my life. Well, I got fired from Swing Time, so when I immediately got fired from Swing Time, the first thing I wanted to do is cut a promo about how fuck Swing Time, and seriously, fuck Swing Time, even though my family owns it, fuck Swing Time, and fuck Pete Gilslinger, fuck him too.
Whoa, name dropping.
Yep. He's a fucking asshole. Anyways, this fucking commercial, yes. Oh, they cut it. Anything than that, I don't know. I think there's a chance that wounds could heal, and you could see what you really want is, in general, to have more people watch it. The more people that watch it, the better. It doesn't matter who's watching what show at this point. You just want more people watching wrestling.
At this point,
people aren't watching wrestling anymore.
Well, people aren't watching much in general, but at this point, they need to build the entire brand, everything, the whole genre. I
disagree with that. They're not watching television as much as they did. I think people still watch TV. They watch stuff. They watch it on Netflix. They watch it on DVR. That kind of stuff. Internet. True. I think a lot of people still watch television shows. They just don't watch them while they're on TV because cable's become so unaffordable outside of Dish and fuck Dish. Like, it's very expensive just to have cable. And people say, well, there's other forms of way to watch TV now. So why would I pay money for cable when I can watch it on Hulu and pay $15 a month and get everything with no commercials? Or I could just wait for it to go on Netflix and just watch it whenever I want to. I don't have to feel like I have to be on my TV to watch it. I think the only stuff that still has its appeal. I mean, look, perfect example right now. As in our background right now, we have the 2016 NLDS with the Cubs and Dodgers that are playing right now as we're recording. FS1, which is an obscure cable channel. It's not even on FS. It's not even on FSN. It's on FS1, which you have to have digital cable just to watch a baseball playoff game. So the baseball postseason used to always be on Fox. The NLCS and ALCS used to be on Fox. And then over the years, it changed where the ALCS would be covered by TBS, and then the NLCS would get Fox. Well, now the NLCS doesn't even get on Fox anymore. You have to wait all the way to the World Series just to watch a postseason game. Still on TBS. So that's a specific example right there. How long are we from where the NFL is completely off of network television?
I think that's going to be quite a while. The NFL is significantly bigger than Major League Baseball.
It depends on what you're basing that off of. It depends on what market you're in too.
True.
Baseball still has a huge popularity in certain cities. Have football first off, and there's cities where, like, back when St. Louis had the Rams, St. Louis Cardinals are a huge market compared to the Rams. So I mean, where you're at.
I think generally though, there's a lot more money in the NFL. There's a lot more. I mean, I don't know. From an outsider's perspective,
are you talking about like how much money teams can generate?
How much money teams can generate? How much money it's valued?
Major League Baseball makes more money because they have more games.
But overall, what would be valued? What if you ranked it team for team?
If you're talking
market
about
by market,
if you're talking about networking is NFL because more people watch football than watch baseball. Yes.
Let's just say Major League Baseball and the NFL went up for sale. The teams, all the merchandising rights, all of the everything.
Baseball. It's an older sport. It has way more history to it.
I think
It's been
football would
it's
kick
been
it out
around.
right now. I mean, when you value like even the lower teams, what's the least valued team? What was the fucking team? Was it the Buffalo Bills or whatever that they're trying to sell? And even for that one, they're asking for what, $3?
Sure.
How much are the Brewers worth?
I don't know.
Probably not $3 billion. I guarantee it ain't $3 billion.
No.
Probably not even close.
No,
Not even
But
remotely close.
that's not. Well,
Now you take something like the Cowboys or the Packers, the bigger teams out there, the Broncos, the whatever. Now you're talking real money. I mean, I think
what about the New York Yankees,
the Yankees are fucking huge.
the St. Louis Cardinals,
I think the Cardinals are huge.
the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Chicago Cubs.
They're all huge franchises.
The Dodgers spent $3 billion 1 year in payroll alone.
Jesus Christ. Well,
Or it was $1.5 billion or something like that. But the point is, and that was on like 6 or 7 players. Baseball players make more money than football players.
do they?
Yes.
On average? I didn't know that.
Yes. Because baseball doesn't have a salary cap. That's one of the reasons. But you take a look at Albert Pujols, right? Makes he's one of the higher paid. I think he might be the highest paid. He makes close to $30 million a year, and he's on a 10-year contract. So he signed a 10-year, $300 million deal. Player makes that.
It's a lot of fucking money.
That's one player. That's why he plays for the Angels and no longer the Cardinals. The Angels that year spent $300 million on Albert Pujols, $100 million on a pitcher, and then a bunch of money on Josh Hamilton. At that, I think that he was signed to a 5-year team. It annual $15 million a year. So I don't know how much that would be, over $100 million or something like that, or pretty damn close to it.
Right.
So you're talking about almost $1 billion and just 4 players, just one team, market team. The Yankees are the biggest market, and so are the Cubs. The Cubs spent something like, the Cubs aren't spending a lot of money on their players yet, but they will. They have a lot of the younger players, but the way how it works, and then you also got to take in consideration the NFL pays 53 men and then like 7 guys in a practice squad and some coaches. Now there's more coaches in the NFL than there are in baseball, just in general. But baseball you have a major league team, you have a AAA team, you have a AA team. That's all part of Major League Baseball. The single A teams aren't part of Major League Baseball, but those are part of like one organization. So let's just say you get drafted by the Dodgers, right? You get put in the Dodgers AA farm club system. You're exclusive to the Dodgers when you play for the AA team, and then in a year you get moved up to AAA. Then you get up to the majors. So they have and all those players are professional baseball players. They all make money. Some of them make more than the Major League ball players because they were signed out of Japan. Baseball in general has more people that play it because baseball is more of a global sport than football is. Football is exclusive to the United States.
Yeah, it's huge in Japan.
Baseball is, yes.
Correct.
Baseball, and it's also huge down south in the American countries, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, all those. So baseball maybe doesn't do the best ratings in the United States as much as maybe football does, but as far as how it makes money, it makes a ton of money. And I would say that it probably makes more than the NFL if you're going team by team basis, because 162 games. That's 82 home games compared to just 8 home games in football. Now, if football was 162 games, NFL would probably blow baseball out of the water.
I think they'd oversaturate and no one would care anymore. I think you'd be running in a baseball type situation then.
Right.
And all of your players would be dead.
But I'm just saying, baseball, they play every day. So then you have to have teams that sign with exclusively through networks, where there's teams that have their own network. The Dodgers, for example, they have a Dodger station that just Dodgers 24/7. The Yankees have the Yes Network that just is only Yankees only. Then you have Fox Sports 1 or Fox Sports that has their own tier where they have FSN St. Louis or FSN Midwest, FSN North, FSN South, FSN whatever. And that's where the majority of teams fall in the FSN area. Some don't. Some are like through The Cubs used to have WGN. Now they're through the Sky Network or something like that, Sky Sports. Can't remember where they're from. They're not FS though. And then same thing with the White Sox. They're on a different network too. They're on, I think, NBC Sports or something like that. Some kind of weird thing like that. So then you also take in consideration that the teams also pay their own exclusive announcers. You have 2 sets of announcers per team. So like postseason's different. Let's just say you're watching the Brewers, right? The commentators that you're getting from watching here are different commentators that they're watching in St. Louis. The people in St. Louis are getting the commentators that commentate just their team. So they're paid by the organization to commentate their team.
Right.
It's a huge network, and I think a lot of it gets misconstrued because I just like to make up words because that's what I do. And
George W. Bush did the same thing.
It was amazing. Okay. Oh, you have it's baseball for the longest time was the number 1 sport in the United States up until probably like the 90s. So I mean, and football was kind of when football started getting its popularity, a lot of people thought, that's going to be like a 10-15 year fad. It's lasted a little longer than that, not too much longer, but maybe it's been the maybe 15 years, maybe a little longer. But it used to be times where the World Series would draw significantly more than the Super Bowl. Now it's not that anymore.
But what about WrestleMania?
I would say if you had the Cubs facing, say, the Red Sox in a World Series, I think that would generate a lot of viewers compared to maybe the Broncos and Panthers Super Bowl or something like that. And you also got to think it's a series. It's not just a one winner take all.
So what do you think of the NFL ratings being down 30 to 50%? I was reading another story about that on Forbes, how NFL owners are scrambling right now, they don't even know what to do.
Are they filling the stadiums?
It's the ratings. It's the television ratings.
Right,
I don't know. I have no idea about the stadiums.
Once again, it's a different time period. I also think that
your theory last week is pretty much what they blame the owners on, or what the owners blame the situation on, where no one's watching. They're all watching clips.
People are following the game clearly because fantasy football numbers are up from last year and from previous years. So people are still watching, or they're following. They're not watching games.
Correct.
Okay, so it's a generational thing. Once again, the people that watch TV are older people in general.
So how do you get them to watch?
How do you get young people to watch? Yeah. They just don't. There's too much competition for it. So you don't, I guess, is a way. You don't worry about it because they're still going to go to your games. They're still going to buy your
where does your
merchandise.
television revenue go? Bringing in, that's what's fueling your profits and paying your players. Where does that go?
Well, what do you want to do? What do you?
I'm just saying, what do you do? What do you do? If you're an NFL owner and your revenue is potentially going down by 1/3, 33%, what do you do?
You do what Major League Baseball does. You go exclusive to one that you have. Do how Major League Baseball does it. Rather than having the networks run the program, you have the program run the network.
But then what about your advertising revenue and all that?
You still get all that.
Not at the same rate you'd get off of a major network.
No, well, you can still go on a major network. Just have I don't know. I'm not big into TV and contracts, and that's not my expertise. I'm just saying I know how people are just by how many people I talk to and associate with.
Right.
And I know that most people, our age group, don't watch football unless it's maybe their home team. But the casual football fan watches more football than the casual baseball fan. So with that said, I don't think they have a lot to worry about. They got to find other ways to revenue. If people are still going to games, if people are still buying merchandise, I don't think there's a sense of alarming yet. Maybe it's not as big as it once was because TV isn't as big. Like you were saying, you have more. Look at the typical 28-year-old or 25-year-old male, right? What on a Sunday afternoon, especially maybe right now because weather is nicer than probably was last year in northern states, so maybe more people are outside. Let's see what the ratings are in December or in November, December, the second half of the season, and we'll see if they're still there. We'll see if they fall down still. If I had to make any kind of hypothesis from 1 year to the next, because we're just talking about 1 year huge drop off, right? I'm going to have to say the weather's been nicer. I think that might have a lot to do with it.
What about the presidential stuff? All that
Could be, but it's not on during the same time as football. Primetime games.
Correct.
Network television's better than it was last year. I don't know.
It's true. That's true.
And
then you have Raw, which has just been amazing. That's just
yeah.
been crushing Monday Night Football week after week.
That's good. Fuck the Dodgers.
So you want to dive into Raw? And then dive right back out of Raw right away?
Sure.
So Raw happened. Let's think. What are some main takeaways there? It was a fantastic show. Man, I'm struggling on this one. I really can't think of many positives from it, honestly. The list of Jericho was on. So we have the list of Jericho. That's pretty much the only over thing on the show right now.
I agree.
So there's that.
Okay, so before this is going to be.
I kind of hated it. It was a pretty bad
Okay,
episode.
so this is why wrestling. How about instead of breaking down the show, we break it down why it sucks?
Sure,
I think it's a
absolutely.
lot easier. This is why wrestling sucks.
Mhm.
John Cena, over the years, has buried talent to the point they don't have any stars. So when John Cena leaves, you leave
This void.
because John Cena is your biggest star, and it's the number one thing. Vince McMahon, he loves to book just one guy super strong. And when that guy leaves, the company struggles for a couple of years until they find the next big star. That philosophy has worked back then. Wrestling fans are smarter now. Wrestling fans that are going to your shows are the ones hijacking your shows. So we'll look back to when Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, whatever, when they all left, right? In the mid-90s, whatever.
Correct, 96.
Right, when they all left, kind of around the same time, with guys like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, but you still had a solid mid-card. So the company struggled for a couple of years. Struggled a lot longer than that. Struggled for like 3 years trying to get their ratings back because they were – and also got to think about it, more people watched TV back then too, so because video games weren't as hot. We're talking about just watching wrestling in general and watching football and that kind of stuff. Like I said, the typical 25 to 28-year-old male on a Sunday, what are you going to do? Are you going to watch football? Here's your options. You can watch football. You can go outside, play golf or whatever, go drive your car around, smoke some weed, and drive off a mountain. You can.
That's what happens? Wow, you just drive off a mountain? Okay.
You can go and hang out with your friends at the mall. Okay, maybe that's what 15-year-olds do. Or you go and you say, fuck all of it, I'm going to watch Netflix all day. Or people are working. I also think more people work weekends now than they ever did maybe 20 years ago.
Correct.
Because retail back then was closed on weekends even still. Like you still had them open, but they would close at a time. Now you have so many more 24-hour stores than you ever did back then that you have to. That's more manpower to run. And who are working weekends? Young people.
Right.
Those are
Correct.
the people.
Correct.
I think that has to do with why you're not having younger people watching football. That might be it. Maybe it's a good thing if you really think about it for the economy. Last year, unemployment rate was really, really low, right? Maybe unemployment rate isn't as bad as they say it is because now they're out working rather than watching football. I'm totally grasping at straws here.
Yeah,
But,
I don't know.
But back to what I was saying. Wrestling sucks because of this philosophy of only booking one guy strong.
I think it's that among so many other things.
Bad writing.
I think bad writing is huge. I think them having the stupid ass philosophy of having 58 writers,
Yep.
all trying to, instead of one direction to push this show on. If you think back to the Attitude Era, the big thing with it was you had one overarching storyline controlling the direction of the entire show.
Right.
You had one single theme that the show was headed towards that entire time. So you usually started off that show letting the viewers know what the theme of the night was going to be, thusly setting up what the potential main event for the night was going to be. And if there was any change to the main event, that might happen throughout the show. But you pretty much knew what you were getting for the next 2 hours at the beginning of the show, and you wanted to watch to see how things would play out. Right. That was the thing. So usually it would end, you might have Triple H and Stone Cold standing over the Hardy Boys beating the shit out of Lita with a steel chair, right? And then next week the show opens up and you have Stone Cold and Triple H coming out to the ring because in wrestling logic there is no time. There's only Monday nights. You only have the Monday nights. You only have Raw to Raw to Raw.
I missed that in wrestling.
So the next Monday, that's when life continues. There was nothing between that Monday and this Monday. It's a continuation. So then they're coming out and they're talking about how triumphant they were and blah blah blah. Then you have the Hardy Boys come out and they say something at the top of the ramp, and then that sets up whatever for the main event. You're going to have Jeff Hardy versus whoever with special guest referee, and then it plays out through vignettes and backstage segments throughout the night and whatever. You want to watch this show. And you have how many different ways you could write it, how many different, mid-card things you'd have going on, but you want to actually watch it. Right now, there's no direction and there's no rhyme or reason as to how they start the show. So right off the bat, they'll have anything start the show off. They don't even care. They'll have fucking Natalya come out to the goddamn ring. And you're like, okay, where is this going? Is she'll cut a horrible subpar promo about whoever knows, no one even knows what the fuck she's talking about. And then your next match is Sami Zayn versus fucking Kalisto. Yeah, okay, cool. And then you try to suffer through that for 5 to 7 minutes. And then you have Titus O'Neil cut a backstage segment. And then you sit through Titus O'Neil versus Darren Young for 5 to 7 minutes. Why you're sitting through that, you don't know. And then you have Braun Strowman crush some nobody. And then you have 3 segments of the cruiserweight shit that no one gives a goddamn about. And
which I told you that was going to happen.
So what ends up happening is you just have this long, uncoordinated piece of garbage that makes no sense. And then around maybe over halfway into the show, they'll finally tell you what the main event is. And the main event has nothing to do with the rest of the show because the show's been moving in no direction. It's like a train that went off the tracks and went tumbling down the side of a hill. Honestly, that is what you can compare it to. The train leaves the fucking station and immediately it fucking derails and it's still it has forward momentum and then it just rolls off a fucking hill. That's what Raw is every single week. Instead of them trying to capture your attention at the start of the show with the biggest star or the most interesting storyline they can come up with, it's
they
just,
did do that.
They
this
lose
week.
you. They lose you right away.
They started off the show with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho.
Correct. Chris Jericho being the most over thing about the show. They did have something someone wanted to see start the show. I'll give you that.
And they were entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
The Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens stuff, it to me is like, I have no problem with it. Granted, it could be better. I feel like Owens could be better. But I don't know what their
My knee-jerk reaction right now would say to be to get that belt off of Owens ASAP. Now, I say that, but then I wonder, who the fuck do you put it on? Okay, you take it off of Kevin Owens. Who do you put it on? There's only one person I would put it on. There's two people I would put it on right now. There are two.
Triple H and
I would put it on Triple H or Chris Jericho, because those are the only two things that are going to save ratings at this point, and it would be the most interesting writing. They would be the only two believable people that could be holding that title right now. There's no one else they have believable on the roster. No matter how many internet people would like to see Sami Zayn with the title. Oh my God! It went from you could see Kevin Owens, you could see Kevin Steen, El Generico one more time for the WWE. No one wants to see that. No one gives a flying fuck about that match.
Rusev.
No one cares. Rusev needs to be built up a little bit more. He needs to finish up his shit with Reigns. Now, like, he needs to get that over with. Reigns needs to move on. He needs to move on. I think it would be interesting if you gave Rusev the title back and then he went for the WWE Championship. You could have some good stuff there. I think he needs to stay away from Seth Rollins. I don't think Rollins needs the belt again right now.
No.
And I don't think if you give Rollins the belt, you put anyone in the ring that you want to live. So you have that. So keep Rusev away. We want Rusev around. We want our Ruru.
Sheamus.
We want our Ruru. Would he be believable right now, and would people care?
It depends on how you do it.
You have to completely then you have to break him away from the stupid Cesaro bullshit. You have to break him away now from that, and you need to actually build him up to be a power heel. You can't do a face on him. You can't do it.
No, but I'm not crazy about the whole power. The power heel.
Dark side, no comedy, no laughing gimmicks. They didn't like when he was WWE champion last.
See, I feel like I'm the only one, but I liked it when his most recent title run.
I loved it.
He was funny.
He was
a comedic heel.
I enjoyed it. I liked what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. I think that
I took him seriously.
I know. Well, I always take Sheamus seriously because I always feel like he can.
I didn't as a face.
Oh, I did too. I felt like he could kick anybody's ass in that fight. And his first world heavyweight title run was actually not too bad. After he beat Daniel Bryan for the title. His feud with Alberto Del Rio. I know we joke about it, but not Del Rio, my bad. Daniel Bryan. Those matches were fucking physical. And like, you think that Daniel Bryan should never be able to beat up a guy like Sheamus, but actually watch the matches and they make sense.
I'm just glad they never did Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar.
No, that's
because
not
it would not have been believable.
Well, again, I go back to saying there's nobody believable that could hang with Lesnar. Nobody.
Sure isn't fucking Goldberg.
No, it's nobody. The way he's been booked, no way. Now, maybe if he was booked as beatable, then you could probably put him in the ring with anybody. I know the name that's been thrown around is Kevin Owens. He'd get destroyed.
No one can believably.
Right, nobody. So that's not a knock on. I know you like to say like that. That's, I think, maybe a little shot at Daniel Bryan, but that's not a shot at him. It's nobody is.
Correct.
Nobody.
I mean, he
is just as credible as John Cena against Lesnar at this point. It wouldn't matter. John Cena is a defensive wrestler anyways, so he would get destroyed by it. You need an offensive wrestler to go up against. I think your only believable guy on your roster right now would be like Cesaro, Sheamus, the roughneck kind of like powerhouse wrestlers right now. At least on the Raw side, those are like the only two guys I can think. Maybe Rusev.
I think Rusev would be a good one.
Even Roman Reigns, like those guys can believable like. Might be able to, they could take a beating and they can give a beating. John Cena doesn't really give beatings in matches. He just kind of hits two moves and it's over. That's kind of what Roman Reigns was, but Roman Reigns,
unless it's a smaller guy,
right?
When he had that U.S. Championship, he was a different John Cena. His wrestling style was completely different when he had the U.S. Championship.
Well, no, they were just back and forth matches then.
They were
like he didn't dominate guys except for the
No. He never dominated, but he had a completely different moveset and wrestling style than you see ever from him. Ever. The last time you saw a match even similar to when he had the US title was the stuff with AJ.
Right. But as far as like and Daniel Bryan is a highly offensive wrestler too. He's just too small to be facing Lesnar.
Correct.
That's the way, and that's WWE's kind of fault by the way they've booked Lesnar. I think they booked him a little too strong.
I think that's the only way Lesnar would allow himself to be booked.
I think if you pay him the right amount of money, he'll do just about anything.
How much more can they
He's a
pay the
money
fucking guy?
That's what I'm saying. Like you pay him his first contract, that he was paid, he wasn't booked as strong because he had the match where he lost to Cena. Then he had the match where he lost to Triple H. Then he beat Triple H and he beat Cena eventually later. But I mean, like, he lost those matches originally. He lost.
The last match he lost was to The Undertaker, I believe.
Are we really counting that loss? Because that was a
low blow.
Right. That wasn't a clean finish. His last clean loss was to Triple H. I think it was WrestleMania 28 or whatever.
It would be to Seth Rollins.
Clean. He didn't lose to him clean. He pinned Roman Reigns.
Correct. He lost though.
Right. He was in the match where he lost. I mean, there's a couple of
them.
He
lost the WWE Championship to Seth Rollins.
Right. And then he also lost Q or whatever. Well, he technically won. Anyways.
Well, it was a non-finish with Seth Rollins.
Here's the thing. You have Hell in a Cell coming up. Raw has done nothing to make me want to watch Hell in a Cell.
Correct. I have absolutely no ambition to watch it.
I feel like the card is stronger than the SmackDown cards in the past, but the SmackDown show has done a better job building the shows.
Correct.
What they do is they go 3 matches, they build those 3 matches, and that's about it. And their shows are shorter. The SmackDown pay-per-views are about 2 hours and 15 minutes.
As it stands, we have the Women's Championship match. Sasha Banks defending her title against Charlotte. You have Rusev versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns defending his U.S. title in the Hell in a Cell. What?
It's lockdown. It's TNA lockdown. This show is. Yeah. Go ahead.
Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship that Kevin Owens is defending in a Hell in a Cell. Tag Team Championship match, Sheamus and Cesaro versus The New Day. That one is not inside the cell.
That match, I think, actually could be good.
As it stands, I don't believe Jericho has a match.
I think he's going to be thrown the Hell in the Cell. I think he's going to be the referee.
I don't know if we have Enzo and Cass and anything, unless they're going up against Gallows and Anderson.
Probably.
Yeah. And I think I don't know what else is going on. I haven't been really paying attention to the undercard.
That's about it.
So I don't know.
And Goldberg will probably make an appearance, and he'll talk about his dad raping him in the closet.
Goldberg's making more than Lesnar for the amount of appearances and the matches he's going to wrestle, which is 1. He's making more than Lesnar.
You don't think he'll wrestle at Mania?
I think he's going to wrestle 1 match. I do not think he'll wrestle at Mania.
Why?
He signed a 1-match contract. His contract is for 1 match. The promo he cut was your next and your last, saying it will be his last match. Everything he said was 1 more time,
okay.
1 last
Fair
time.
Enough. I'll be honest, I did not see the promo. I fell asleep.
So his promo, it ended with Lesnar, your next and your last. So he's saying it's going to be his last match. He just, everything he was saying was only 1 more. I have 1 more left in me. I have 1 more. Maybe I have, what did he say? 1 more spear. Maybe I have 1 devastating jackhammer. 1 more. You know, and he just kept on, 1 more. And then he just started fucking molesting kids after his promo. It was really weird. It was really, really weird. Like, it was awkward. It was strange.
Maybe he's turning heel.
Oh God, that'd be the most powerful heel character in history. A convicted child rapist. Like he was grabbing kids by the head and like kissing them on the very top of the head, but he was like on their sides of their top of their head, like tightly, and then he was like lifting them up and like
by their heads.
No, by their heads, yeah, and just doing this weird suplex where it just ripped their head off. Yeah, no, but I don't know. It was strange. So,
what else happened on Raw?
There really wasn't much. Goldberg came back.
Should we get into SmackDown?
Yes, let's get into SmackDown, please.
Okay.
All right.
That's the SmackDown theme. Yeah, we didn't pay our bills, so that's what.
So yeah, it's just manual music now.
Right. So SmackDown opens up with Randy Orton cutting a promo. Comes out in his sleeveless hoodie again, in full wrestling gear. He says, "I am the Wrath. I am vengeance. I am Batman." Wyatt emerges from a casket.
Why not? Why not?
Wyatt says that you can't hunt me because I'm hunting you. Oh, and he's here. And then Luke Harper comes down to the ring.
I like Luke Harper.
Luke Harper looks more like a serial killer than he ever has before. His hair, because he's getting older, so he's got the big ball. The balding spot got even bigger, but his hair is super long, and it's like a blackish gray, and his beard is super fucking thick right now. So Luke Harper's amazing.
Yep.
He comes down. They do their little skit where they wrestle for a little bit. Then all of a sudden, in the middle of the match, you hear Bray Wyatt's music play. He comes being rolled down to the ring in a casket. Okay? Okay, you got me here? All right. So
I'm listening to you.
he gets rolled down to the ring in a casket. Again, it gets thrown out with a DQ. And then they're about to throw Orton into the casket. They open up the casket, and out pops Kane!
Hey-o.
What the fuck? And then, you know, it ends up, and the lights go out, and they disappear.
Yes.
I wrote kind of dumb, but in an awesome way, kind of dumb. They're going all out with this being as stupid as they possibly can make this. But I feel like it's okay. It's fine.
Sure,
it's not
sure.
bad. Well, it is, but it insults my intelligence, but not to the point where I have to sit through 3 hours of Raw. The show has an idea of what the direction it's going.
Fair enough.
We have an AJ Styles interview where he referenced David Arquette. He referenced it being the worst thing in professional wrestling history. Like, he's like, James Ellsworth could win the WWE title tonight, and it's out of my control. Dean Ambrose is going to interfere, and he could cost me the title. It'd be like David Arquette winning the WCW title. The worst things in the history of wrestling, if not the worst. Like, who would ever come up with that idea? No, he didn't go that far into it, but yeah.
China.
Right.
Oh, there's just
Something over there.
this is China. China.
It does. We're doing a show.
We
I
are.
don't know if you know this.
All right. I hear you.
All right.
I hear
All right, the Alexa Bliss versus Naomi. I fast forwarded this. She wins with Twisted Bliss.
It's a nice move.
It was a good move. And then Kurt Hawkins makes his debut. He comes down to the ring. He's going to be facing Apollo Crews. Poor Apollo Crews.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with him. I think he'll be on the next list of releases.
Probably.
I don't know what you do with the guy.
So Kurt Hawkins is there, and he didn't want to wrestle, so he left.
So he's Ava Marino.
Yeah.
Cool.
Carmella promo. At first, this was a train wreck, and then it got better. Carmella.
She's a trainer.
Yeah. Her biggest, she says she's got some dirt on Nikki Bella. It's huge dirt. John Cena is Nikki Bella's boyfriend. That was the big bomb. She said that she got into the business not becoming a wrestler. She came into the business as a model, and John Cena was the reason why she got the Divas title. And John Cena was the reason why that Total Bellas is a thing, and like went on this thing about how John Cena's this, John Cena's that. And then she talked about how I got better in the ring, and it was fucking stupid. I wrote this was all.
She did.
I agree.
She got a lot better.
I said this was all for the Total Bella stuff because they actually played like 10 minutes of the damn show.
Correct.
And I wrote this is all Total Bella shit. God damn it! But I said Carmella was good, and because she kind of dropped a bomb and dropped the mic and left, kind of thing. So this was okay.
All right.
Here's my thing. People say they don't give a fuck about this feud. I care more about this feud than I do the women's title feud. Not the Raw women's title feud, but this feud. At least SmackDown has 2 separate feuds going. The 1A feud isn't as good as the 1B feud. But on the Raw side, they have 2 feuds going too, but do you really count the Bayley and
Not really.
Right.
Although they really need to do something. I mean, I'm glad they're doing something with I can never remember her name, so it doesn't really matter.
Dana Brooks?
Dana Brooke. I like Dana Brooke.
She probably should go to SmackDown. There's more opportunity there. They don't really have a strong women's division outside of. They have a solid women's division.
Yeah. Then what's going on with Becky Lynch?
She's hurt. Or as the whole effing show said, she got pregnant and she was having an abortion, and that's why she wasn't at the pay-per-view.
Okay. So is she vacating the title or?
No. Because apparently it was only a one thing. It was like a 1 week thing.
Oh, okay.
So she'll be back for the next pay-per-view.
Okay.
6-man tag. Miz, like how I wrote down Kenny Dykstra. The Miz and the Spirit Squad versus Dolph Ziggler, Heath Slater, and Rhino.
Fair enough. Good match.
One thing SmackDown is doing now is they're cutting to like backstage promos on the way down to the ring and how they talk shit about their opponent. It's kind of funny because they had Heath Slater's he's like, they think that 3-on-1 is going to win. He's like, I have kids. We're going to make this a 6-man tag, and we'll see if the Spirit Squad really is as big as they think they once were. Tell them, Rhino. And Rhino's like, I just don't like male cheerleaders. Fair enough.
Good.
I fast forward to this match. Could give a rat's ass about
it. He wins. All right.
I don't even know who won. Jack Swagger versus Baron Corbin. They're flat out jobbed. I fast forward to this. Then we get into the WWE Championship match. James Ellsworth versus AJ Styles. I wrote that for the most part, this was funny, entertaining at least. Dean Ambrose was told before the match that he wasn't allowed to be the special guest referee, but he could be anything else he wanted to be in the match. Brian's like, you could be a special guest timekeeper, special guest announcer, special guest ring announcer. And Dean Ambrose was like, okay, I'll do that. And he walked away. All of it. He introduced both of them. He rang the bell, but he didn't. When he rang the bell, he just kept hitting the bell, and they both kind of looked at him, and he's like, I can't stop. I can't stop. And then he stopped. Then he stopped. And then he would interrupt the match all the time and commercial promos and saying here, if you look at the Titantron, you could buy this T-shirt for $24.99. It's a James Ellsworth T-shirt. You could do this. And AJ Styles is the perfect character for this feud because he's been amazing through this whole thing. He sells everything. Over dramatic, over this, getting angry, to the point where reminds me of Angle kind of acting wise as an in-ring competitor.
I agree with that.
He oversells the one thing that wrestling always misses is misery. One guy, the essence of comedy is misery, right? You ever heard that before?
I've not heard.
The essence of comedy is difference between the cartoon show Animaniacs. Did you ever see the cartoon show Sam and Max?
No,
Okay.
I did not.
They were the same show. The only difference was Sam and Max was like, this would happen, this would happen, this would happen, this would happen, and there was no consequence. The Animaniacs were always torturing some poor soul.
The professor.
Right. And he would get angry to the point where there was misery. It's why Looney Tunes was so funny.
Yep.
Because Bugs Bunny would be torturing some poor soul to the point where you kind of felt bad for the person.
Oh, we're fun. Yep.
Yeah, that he was torturing. Like it's like that's why the shows are funny in cartoons, especially in comedy. That's why this feud works, because Dean Ambrose keeps getting under AJ Styles' skin, and AJ Styles sells it like he's being punked by the Animaniacs.
Essentially, yeah.
So this is good, and I think this is going to lead to AJ Styles versus Ambrose, or probably not. Now I'm thinking about it because Survivor Series is their next pay-per-view.
Correct.
They're going to do that 5-on-5.
I haven't even begun to think about who the teams are going to be.
Are they going to go straight up and go top 5 versus top 5?
I think it's going to be top 5 versus top 5.
Okay.
Or they'll do 4 and 4 with one surprise from each one.
Like some stupid bullshit where there's going to be 2 title matches on the same show, so the champions won't be in the Survivor Series style match.
It's possible.
I'm
not sure how they have it set up yet. I mean, I think that one's going to be main evented with the Goldberg thing. Oh,
you don't need a title match then.
You really don't need one.
Okay. That was SmackDown. I thought overall this was okay. Not a good show by any means, but not to the point where I felt like I was wasting a lot of time.
Correct. Not as bad as Raw.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, anything?
Regarding SmackDown, no, not really. Regarding the week in general,
What do you
not
think
really.
of James Ellsworth?
I think this has run its course.
I think they're going to go another match.
Well,
Because now, Dean Ambrose did say James Ellsworth owns more victories over AJ Styles than AJ Styles owns over, or that John Cena owns over AJ Styles. He made that thing. He's like, the guy who owns more victories than John Cena over AJ Styles.
does he just have one?
John Cena? They're saying 0. They're not counting the tag team match.
Huh.
Because they said that they keep saying AJ Styles is 2-0 against John Cena. They're not even referencing the tag team match, even though he got pinned.
Okay. Fair enough.
And AJ Styles has been pinned by Cena twice. He got pinned by him on a Raw, too, in a tag team match. Because I remember me getting pissed about it. And you're like, calm down. Everything's going to be all right.
Yes, I turned into John Laurinaitis. Yeah.
Right. So, doing our tops.
Top video. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
All right. So we decided our top 10 list for this week is going to be top 10 video games. Now, you ranked yours 1 to 10, right?
Correct.
I attempted to do it, but this is just it's kind of a top 10 for me.
So
I have a
how
clear
we're going to do it? You're not going to read them off right in a row because it's going to be like,
Correct. Yep. Blah, blah,
So,
blah, 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 blah.
We'll start with 10 since you have them written down now.
Yep.
Rizzo just homered. Okay, so it's 5-0 Chicago.
Hey,
Sorry.
we're doing a podcast.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey.
Sorry.
Hey.
So we're going to start from number 10. I think when we went through this, we only had one game that was on your list and mine, right?
Correct. Yes.
Which is, you would think is kind of odd, but my list is a little different because from early childhood on
Right.
here.
Mhm.
So, and I think I got into video games a lot earlier than a lot of people did.
I have been playing video games since I was
2.
My first console was my first gaming system, my traditional gaming system was a Game Boy Color. Game Boy. And then I had a Super Nintendo.
My first game console was the ColecoVision. It was my dad's. It was in my room, but I didn't remember a lot of games for it. I remember Donkey Kong, but anyways, my first game system that was mine was Super Nintendo. And then we also had a PC. that played DOS games and stuff before Windows 95 existed. So, I mean, that's like the essence of the PC world right there. I'm not one of those PC gamers that plays anything current. All of my PC games I've ever played are everything before 1995.
It's not a lot of great current stuff.
Right, but I'm saying like all the games I've played, like when I'll talk to someone about gaming, I talk about games, and like a lot of my favorite games are technically PC games, playing with a keyboard. There was no gamepad back then,
Right.
and the mouse didn't really exist either, as far as like in most games. So my PC gaming only goes back to from 1992 to 1995, and then nothing after that.
It's not even remotely current. That
Right.
is 22 years.
Right. Like I said, I haven't played anything
Okay.
remotely current
So-
for PC.
So console-wise, if you exclude the Game Boy, my first console, Super Nintendo. Second one would be the N64. Third, I had a GameCube. I've had a PC since 1999. Then I had PS2, PS3, PS4, and now I currently have an Xbox One. Still, I PC game this whole time. PC was really huge for me. The Super Nintendo, formative. That's where my love of video games actually came from. And for the longest time, I had one of the adapter things in my Super Nintendo where you put the Game Boy cartridges.
Yeah, the
in
Super
there.
Game Boy.
The Super Game Boy. Actually, how I first played Pokemon. Game Boy at that time, like mine was broken or whatever. I did not have one. I was playing Pokemon Yellow on my Super Nintendo. So
I got
like,
into Game Boy a little later. My first, I had a Game Boy Color, or no, Game Boy Pocket, the smaller version of the big gray Game Boy.
Yep.
And I had that, I think maybe in 1995 or 1996. So I mean, like I was already like 8 years old
Yeah.
or something like that point.
Yeah.
So I know that sounds like holy shit, that was a long time ago. But Rob and I are remotely the same age. I think I might be a year older, but for the most part, we're about the same age.
Game Boy in 94 or 95, I want to say.
So I had my Super Nintendo.
And I have my games yet from it.
Nintendo. I got it in 1992. It was my first game.
I got
system.
mine in 95.
Right.
My Super
My
Nintendo.
first game system. I was 5 years old. I remember it.
Yeah.
I
was in first grade when I started playing Super Nintendo. I had Super Mario All Stars, and then I had Double Dragon, which was a fighting game, and Super Street Fighter 2.
I had the three. Yeah, it's weird how you always start with 3 games.
Yeah.
I had Super Mario World, Super Mario All Stars, and
Your Super Mario World wasn't on All Stars?
Super Mario World's not on All
The
Stars.
fuck it isn't.
No, it's not.
The fuck it isn't.
No, it's
I'll
not.
bring you my cartridge.
It's not Super Mario World.
What is it then?
It's you have Mario, or you have Super Mario, then you have Mario 3, Mario 2, and then Mario Lost Levels.
Okay, so yeah,
Super Mario World is the one with Yoshi.
correct.
That's not on All Stars.
I will bring you mine.
It's not.
I
On there.
swear to fucking God, I will
It's
bring you
not
mine.
on there.
You want to know what's on mine?
Hmm.
Because I played Super Mario World,
Yeah,
so
it's
I
not
can
on- it's its own-
I can
it's its
definitively
own-
say
it's
this.
its own
I can
exclusive-
definitively say this. I
it's
will
its
bring my
own-
cartridge in.
Do it.
My
It doesn't
cartridge
exist.
says Super Mario All Stars plus Super Mario World on
That's
it.
different.
That's my cartridge.
That's different.
And you can access it from the main menu.
That's not Super Mario. That's not All Stars. That's All Stars and Super Mario World. Those are two different games.
It's the same. It's
That's
on
not
the
the same
same.
thing.
It's on the same. You're
That's
backpedaling. You're
different.
backpedaling.
No,
You're backpedaling.
no,
You know what?
that's
Trump and Hillary are having their debate right now. I'm kidding.
no,
I'm
that's not the same thing. Super Mario All Stars was its own exclusive game. Super Mario World was its own exclusive game. Super Mario Hold on. Super Mario All Stars had the 3 Mario games from the NES, and then the Lost Levels, which was Mario 2 in Japan,
correct.
and we didn't get that here. The Lost Levels, which was on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, because mine was Super Mario Brothers, the original,
Right.
the Lost Levels, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, and then Super Mario World.
Super Mario
Where am
World,
I?
yeah.
And
Okay,
then
that
all
might be
of them-
fine. Because there's some games that have Mario with Duck Hunt, but Duck Hunt's still its own game.
And
It's
then
not part
all of them, like you'd start it up, and then you'd have the menu, and you could flip to whatever game you want in the menu. You'd select that game. You'd select your save file for that game, and then you'd play.
Mhm.
Each game you could have like 4 or 5.
So it had
save files
Super Mario World part of that menu, or did when you?
No, it was part of that menu.
Really?
It was you would
Mine
select.
did not.
Do you have a working Super Nintendo?
Mhm.
I will bring it in next week.
Well, it doesn't work.
Oh, okay. And then never mind that.
I mean, it does. I just don't have the cords for it.
So you would select it from that menu. Each one allowed you four save files. Yeah, A, B, C, and D. Start up whatever save file from it, and that's how it works. I'll still bring in the cartridge so you can see it.
I think I have Super Mario. I don't.
Yeah, because mine was all on there. And then all of my games were redone with the Super Mario World or the Super Mario World graphics.
Right. Still with All Stars.
My Super Nintendo, my Super Mario Brothers, all of it was in the Super Mario World graphics.
Outside of the first Mario game, it was pretty much kind of the same. It was a little updated, but Mario 3 was
very noticeable.
Was very noticeable,
Yes.
and so was Mario 2. Those
Mario
two were
they were extremely. I mean, so when I go back and I like play the classic ones, like they look so old to me because I'm like
you grew up with Mario.
I
All-Stars.
grew up with it being Mario All Stars with the upgraded.
And
graphics.
see the '80s kids, the people that grew up in the '80s, they shit all over Super Mario World because they're all about Mario 3. I've had friends that are 5-6 years older than me. I grew up with Super Mario World and they grew up with Mario 3. And when Mario 3 was out, we didn't even know it because Mario 3 was what was it? Advertising the Wizard, the movie The Wizard.
I don't know.
The movie The Wizard happened, and then you had the end of the game, which had Mario 3, like a trailer for Mario 3 in the movie itself, which was the main reason why people watched The Wizard.
Mario 3 was actually featured in Three Ninjas also.
Right.
I don't know if you remember that or
No,
not. It was featured quite a bit in there. Every time they cut to a TV, they'd have a console by it that was playing Super Mario Brothers 3.
So let's start off at number 10.
All right.
What is your number 10 game?
My number 10 game. Let me just make sure I have my list up and running here. Number 10 is going to be Red Dead Revolver, which I played on the PlayStation 2. Red Dead Revolver was the precursor to Red Dead Redemption. It played as
I have played it.
Okay. Then for those folks out there listening, no one really knows of Red Dead Revolver. It's a very obscure, underrated game, believe it or not, even though it was a Rockstar release. Rockstar was releasing everything in the mid-2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Bully being one that a lot of people don't remember.
Bully was awesome.
Manhunt. The Midnight Club series, a lot of gems that are just forgotten about. But Red Dead Revolver, it was originally developed by a Japanese developer, which I believe was going out of business. Rockstar picked the game up off of them, retouched a few things, kind of tweaked the story a little bit, and they released it. Originally, I don't believe it was going to be called Red Dead Revolver. It was also going to be under a different name. I don't remember, though. But the framework for Red Dead Redemption, it was a much more linear story. It wasn't open world or anything like that. It was pretty much a point A to point B third person shooter. You played 3 or 4 different characters in the game. You played as Red, an Englishman, Jack Swift, Oakley, and a Native American at one point. Fantastic game. Strong number 10 for me. And it had split screen multiplayer. So
yeah.
You can play with your friends or whatever too. So very, very fond of that game.
My experience with that game was it was kind of whatever to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not a big shooter guy.
Right.
Period. So
right, makes sense then.
I remember buying it because it had that Western feel to it.
Yes.
And I like Westerns, just like that idea of the older guns and that kind of stuff.
Do you remember the theme from that game?
It's been so long. I don't think I played a lot of it. I played a little bit, but it was it had that Wild West kind of theme to it. Was there because that's what Alone in the Dark 3 is, and I'll get into that a little later. But you're ready for my number 10?
Sure.
San Andreas.
Ooh, okay.
I felt like this was the the more fun out of all the Grand Theft Auto games. I mean, 5 was really, really good, but as far as just playing the game, and this is not including the story mode as part of the game, the gameplay itself, there was so much you could do. A lot more. You can do a lot more in San Andreas than you could do in the Grand Theft Auto 5, which is kind of weird. What I used to like to do is just grab like the old motorcycles and just drive up to the country and come back down to the city, just do the big lap.
Mm-hmm.
And you could fly planes in it too. And the bike. I remember riding the bicycles.
So, what exactly are you referring to in that you can't do in 5?
They don't have the same motorcycles. They only have the sports bikes, and that's about it. And the dirt bikes. They don't have the long neck ones.
They just added those.
And they don't have the Harley Davidsons either.
They just added all of them.
Did they?
Mm-hmm. In the last patch, they did a biker patch. No, I'm not trying to shit on what you're saying, but those
I'm not wrong.
No, you're not wrong at all. No. That I didn't want you to take it like that. But no, that's what Mike and I have been playing, because we switched back from Rainbow Siege to GTA because of this new patch. We have a motorcycle club.
Oh, okay.
So, but San Andreas, great game. I played through that game, and I have a Grand Theft Auto on my list too. So I can appreciate your choice there, and it is not the new one.
Right.
I thought they almost played too heavy to the RPG elements in that game. I thought where they were focusing on strength, stamina, all of these different stats. There were so many different stats in the game. Breathing, underwater, this, that, 50 million other things. Granted, the new ones have stats too, but it felt too heavy, and it was too heavy for the time for me a little bit with having to and then you had all of your gang stuff that was going on. Stats within the gang, and it was just they were doing a lot there. Not all of it worked, in my opinion, but
right.
It was a good game. It was a great story.
I felt that it was a little bit more interactive as far as how many different buildings you can go into. The newer Grand Theft Auto, you can go into outside of your apartment, which I don't count that. The auto body shops, which I don't really count that either. Is there anything?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, a lot of the skyscrapers.
You got the one strip club. That's about it.
You got a lot of the skyscrapers you can go into. Pretty much every skyscraper.
What are you talking about? I'm not talking about the not the apartments, because
the skyscrapers.
Like you can go in and walk around inside the building to go up to the top.
The ones that are under construction. Yeah.
Oh, I don't count. No, that's still part of that's like the underground parking, whatever stuff. Yeah. I'm talking about there was mall. You could go into a mall. You could go into a burger shop. You could go into a gym. There's
Bill, yeah.
There were a lot of things you can go into. That's the one thing. I kind of like that RPG element to it.
Yeah. They've been adding a lot of stuff into the online that you can go into more and more, but
right. What's your number 9?
But yeah, San Andreas was a damn good pick there. Number 9 for me is going to be the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which I originally played on Xbox 360. It was really the first. Well, the 360 was released a year before the Xbox or the PlayStation 3. So, if you wanted next gen at that time, you had Xbox 360. Thusly, the first RPG, first true RPG of the last generation, I guess it would be now. Oblivion. I had never played any of the Elder Scrolls games before that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. That was my first taste of a game set up like that. I guess it would be an action RPG. It would be more of what it was. I just have a lot of memories, a lot of hours in that game, and to this day, still top 10 for me.
Mine is my number 9 is the MLB The Show franchise. I've owned every MLB game since the Show franchise started in 2006. Before that, it was owned by 989 Sports, and it was just called MLB and then the year. And then in 2006, it's the PlayStation took over, and now Sony runs it exclusively. Sports was only on Sony anyways. But they went from 99 Sports, and I think 99 Sports is gone now. Do they still have 99 Studios?
I don't know.
But it changed into, then PlayStation ran it, and they started this like that My Career mode for it, or Road to the Show is what they call it. And originally started where it would take forever to get your player to the major leagues. Like you'd have to play through like 3 full seasons. And now you can get there almost in a full season. So it's gotten better over the years. Its online mode is still kind of cryptic. It's been cryptic because it's not Madden, it's not EA. It's a lot more user-friendly. This one, it's like everything. You have to know exactly what you're doing if you want to run an online franchise with a friend of yours. Other than that, the gameplay is by far the best. It's the best looking baseball game. It's the best realistic baseball game out there as far as one of the simulation baseball games is what they call it. It's the only simulation baseball game right now.
Right.
There aren't. Xbox doesn't even have a baseball game. It's got RBI baseball, which is a joke. It's an arcade style game, but that's it. Really good game.
All right, my number 7 is. Number 8 is going to be Sarge's Heroes for the N64. I just put down Sarge's Heroes 1 and 2 because they're pretty much the same thing. And that one, I just have a lot of memories playing that one with my brother when I was kind of growing up. Just the split-screen multiplayer. It was a nice alternative to GoldenEye, and you got to play as a Green Army guy. And you got to like stand on top of a Kleenex box and fire mortars at another Kleenex box. And I don't know. I just have a lot of fond memories with that game, and just on nostalgia value alone, that one gets my vote for number 8.
My number 8 is Super Mario World. We just had this. It was the most innovating platformer at its time, and still to this day. It has the best controls I've ever played in a platformer. Outside the game, that's going to be my number 7, but that came out significantly later. This came out 1992?
Yep,
or something
somewhere
like
in there, yeah.
And it had such a clean look to it compared to what NES looked. NES graphics look like shit compared to this game.
Oh yeah,
the colors it had so much color into it, and a lot of you younger people out there that never experienced the platformers. Platformers were huge in the early 90s.
That's what we had.
That's what we had. And every game was a platformer, like every game now is a shooter. Every game back then were platformers. Or RPG, like the turn-based style RPG, but that didn't really take off until a little later.
Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Pokemon, that didn't take off until a little later. But this was a fantastic game. You're up.
All right, my number 7. Sorry, I don't know why I keep on going ahead of myself. Number 7 is going to be Mario Kart Double Dash for the GameCube. To this day, it remains one of my favorite of the Mario Kart franchise. I could have easily put the Mario Kart franchise, but I specifically like this game.
Did you like the first one?
The very first one for Super Nintendo. I played it. It wasn't anything memorable for me at that time. Too, there were Mighty Morphin Power Rangers kart.
That was the first one I played.
Freaking everything kart. There was everything kart back then. Everyone had like a very similar style. This was the first one that actually it stood out to me. The whole Double Dash thing. It was 2 players in a kart, and you could either race against someone you were playing split screen with, or they could be your teammate and fire weapons for you, and you could switch, and then the next person could drive. And it was very innovative to me at the time. It took advantage of the weird GameCube controller they had. For me, it was a very fun game. I liked the multiplayer in it a lot. That's about all I can say. I really enjoyed that game a lot more than I enjoyed some of the others in the franchise.
My number 7 is Donkey Kong Country 2.
Good choice. Good choice.
This is the hardest out of the 3 games. It has the best music out of the 3 games. It has the best levels out of the 3 games. And I'm not including Donkey Kong 64 or Tropic Freeze or Donkey Kong Country Returns because those games fucking suck.
Right.
But
they've lost their soul.
Well, the thing is, I don't know what happened with that franchise, but Kong, like if you're real loyal to like the Donkey Kong style games, the first 3 games, first of all, the third one no one remembers, but the first 2 exclusively, everyone loves the first one. I think the first one's way too easy.
Did you ever play the Game Boy ones?
Yes, I played them all actually.
Okay, I still own
Donkey Kong.
a couple of them.
I really like Donkey Kong Land too. That's what they're called, Donkey Kong Land. And yes, they're different games.
Yellow cartridge.
Yep.
Yep.
They're completely different games.
Yeah.
The Donkey Kong Country 2. Now, you've played it, right?
Yes.
Familiar with it?
Yep.
Okay. So, have you played the newer Donkey Kong?
No.
Games? Okay.
I resent a lot of new things.
So, they redid it. They brought back the old music, which was the only thing that was cool about it. But the one thing they took away from it is bouncing off of enemies, the way you bounce off of enemies.
Correct. You can make it through whole levels.
Just
bouncing off of their heads. And some of the things you could only do in the game if you were bouncing off of their heads at certain timing. They set up the levels so you would bounce, 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 bounce. Then you hit a barrel or whatever, bounce. And then, I mean, there are things you could only do by bouncing.
Right. And the one thing that was like really that was cool about it is you can determine the style of bounce you would want off of the enemy. You could not press anything and just kind of fall. You hold down, what is it? You hold down the B button, you get a much larger jump. You hold down Y and B, it's kind of the same thing. But this one, they got rid of that all completely, and you have to like do some kind of weird button combination to get that type of extra bounce off the enemy. And I could never get the timing down right. But instead of just holding the button, and it makes the game virtually.
That would be like playing Sonic, and then they're like, "Oh, you can't run."
And that's what I kept saying. Like when I was playing with my friends, and a lot of my friends never played the Donkey Kong series, and they love Donkey Kong Country Returns. Then they added an Easy Kong. Did you hear about that?
No.
Okay, so if you die a certain amount of times in the level, you can hit a barrel, and it's called Easy Kong, and he'll complete the level for you.
Oh, okay. Fuck yeah, why not?
Kids these days have it so much easier in video games.
There was nothing that would complete shit for you.
No, you didn't. There was video games were much more harsh.
Yeah,
let's say it that way. Like you had to do it a precise way.
Remember video games with save codes?
Yes,
that was a thing. Like you would look at like different magazines trying to find like save codes.
Skip ahead the game.
Like boxes of fucking macaroni would have like special codes in them and stuff, and you could be like, "Ooh, if I put in
a lot of games though, especially in Super Nintendo when they started doing the game codes, that if you would type in the game code to get farther in the game, you'd lose all those items that you would have gained through the game.
Correct.
So that was like the way of them trying to their way of fucking you in the ass if you cheated. Or if you wanted to cheat, but they would take it away from you. Donkey Kong Country 2 was amazing. I mean,
good game. Very good game.
Really good. Number 6.
Super Smash 64. The original Super Smash Brothers.
Never was in those. I'm just never into those games. I never understood why they were. I don't know why. Here's my thing.
The original one.
Right. I never understood why these characters would be fighting each other. I know that's kind of stupid when you think about it, but like to me, these are some of the characters I grew up with, and I don't know why Mario and Donkey Kong would ever fight each other. But that was different. That was different Kong. That wasn't Donkey Kong. That was different. That was a different Donkey Kong. That was Grandpa Kong from the original Mario games. No, Donkey Kong game. The one where you have to climb up the ladder.
Yeah.
The guy throwing the barrel, that's Cranky Kong from Donkey Kong Country.
No. Okay.
So
if you that withstanding, they were great fighting games. Again, the multiplayer aspect of them, where
they were fun.
You could have how many people over? Like, I mean, it wasn't a story centric game whatsoever.
No, not at all.
So you had a bunch of, it was pretty much
the Super Nintendo one was good.
I mean, N64.
Sorry, N64 one was
I
good.
never got into any of them after that because then it became like they were trying to make legit fighting franchise,
right?
Like Super Street Fighter and Tekken and all that shit. And that is not what Super Smash Brothers was. Super Smash Brothers was supposed to be the opposite of all that.
I was a big Kirby guy in that.
Oh yeah.
I would get my one life lead, and then I would suck in a guy and then walk off the cliff with him.
Donkey Kong did that shit where he would just pick you up and then just fucking walk to the edge of the map, and like if I got enough of a lead and I was playing as Donkey Kong, that's all I would do for the end of the match.
Yeah,
I would just
I did that with
people off the
Kirby
fucking
because you
thing.
could suck them in and just could walk and there's nothing you could
Like-
do about it.
Like my friend Mike, that's Mike, he came over one night. And he was like, I want to play you in Super Smash Brothers. I'm like, you really want to fucking play me in Super Smash Brothers? You know I'm going to fucking execute you immediately, right? He's like, I'm going to play you. I'm going to win. So I'm like, all right. So best character I play, Pikachu. You cannot. And if I can't play as Pikachu, I'm going to beat your ass with Samus really, really, really bad and make you wish you would have let me pick Pikachu. And he like couldn't get a move in on me the whole fucking match. To this day, the game holds up. I enjoy playing
Most of these games that are on my list, I put that in consideration about how I made this list. Would I go back and still play these? Some of these I haven't played in a very long time, but all these I have played within the last year or so.
Yeah. So to this day, I will play that game. I own the Super Smash Brothers for GameCube. I don't play it. I play the N64 one though.
Mm-hmm.
I will still connect my N64 and play that game. Great game to this day. I enjoy it. That's why it's on my list.
We're at number 6 still.
Yep.
My number 6 is NFL 2K5.
Okay.
Super Smash Brothers. This was my game, and my friends that are listening to this, which they aren't, but say if they are, they would wonder why this is so low because this was the only thing I played for the longest time. This game came out in 2004, right? I played this game instead of Madden all the way till Madden 11. You know how they have a new game every year?
Correct.
I didn't play Madden until I finally decided in 2011 it was time. I never owned I didn't own a PS3 or a Xbox 360 for that reason because I was like, well, I'm not gonna. I play sports games, and NFL 2K5 is on the original Xbox. I'll just play it on there. And I used to go through like 30 years in a franchise. I would play like 30 seasons. And you could edit your own rookies in there. So I would put in the rookies of every season and then see where they would get drafted. And I would just play a full franchise. We even got to a point, I think in 2009, we had a 2K5 league. And this game didn't have it had online capabilities, but it was
Right.
So you couldn't do online leagues yet. So what we did is there were 8 of us from work or friends and that kind of stuff, and we would set up times of when we would play, and they would all come over and we'd play our games, and then they would go home. Like you had to schedule how you would fit in that thing. We played a season, almost 2 full seasons of that one year.
Jesus.
And we had a postseason where we had everybody over at one person's house. Like it was all 8 of us, and we'd play the whole postseason in one day. So it was fun. NFL 2K5 that's the game where I'm unbeatable in because I got better at it and I've learned things with it. And there's back when you could play online, I'd play this one. We played this one guy. My friend was watching me play, and he knew that I was good. And I was just anyone who would play NFL 2K5 at that point, this was like in 2010. Anyone that was playing at that point had to have been good. Because why are you playing it online at this point?
Unless you just found it at the bargain bin at
Right.
GameStop or whatever.
But the game's already 6-7 years old,
Right.
and it's obsolete. And it's on a system that nobody plays.
Hey, I still have fucking Madden 09.
Right, but exactly. But nobody's going to buy that or play that.
Why it's $1.
Right. But the thing is, I'm playing this guy. He picks the Eagles, which is the best team on that game. Like as far as stats wise, I picked Denver, of course, and we're playing, and I forced a 3 and out on him, and my friend's like, "Dude, on first down, you should punt it right back to him." And so I did. I punted the ball right back to him. Then he throws a pick, and I'm like at the 30. I'm on his 30-yard line, 30 yards from scoring a touchdown. And my friend's like, "You should just punt the ball out of the end zone and tell him to try again." So I did, and I didn't even start playing the game against him until the second quarter. So I already had it was 0-0 going into the second quarter, and then I messaged him and said, "Okay, I'm gonna try now." And that because I can't even imagine you playing against a guy and like him punting the ball back to you on first down after you just forced the 3 and out, which is super fucking hard to do in a video game, especially back then, where everything was arcade style and you could gain 15 yards on a fly so easily. But to be able to force a 3 and out, and a lot of people didn't punt. So yeah, NFL 2K5.
All right. What do we have up next here? We are at number 5 is Super Mario World for me.
Very good game. I played this game once before.
Yeah, just once, yeah. So really, I can't say a whole lot more about it than you did. It's just that much higher on my list.
Had awesome music.
I have so much respect for that fucking game that I had to put it at 5 just because of the respect I have for that game, what it brought to the table, and how far ahead it was of anything else at that time.
Yeah.
So
you know that PC gaming was trying to create a Super Mario World or a platformer game. PCs back then couldn't run a platform game because they couldn't get their character to stay in the middle of the screen. Mario was the first platformer where the character was in the middle of the screen the whole time. Super Mario World, I think, was the first game to really do that, as far as where the character model was always in the middle of the screen all the time, and the PC games couldn't get that graphic down.
Huh.
So that's an interesting thing.
That's a very interesting thing.
We're at number 5.
Your number 5?
My number 5, Mafia, the very first one.
Good choice.
Not Mafia 3, not Mafia 2, Mafia 1. Mafia 1. Mafia. Holy shit. Like
deep game, huh?
This is super story driven. Now, as far as it's very linear, but back then games really were. This originally came out for the PC, and then a year later it came out on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. The Xbox version is way better because there's no load times on the Xbox version, where the PS2 has shit fucking load times.
Oh, the load times on your PC are dependent on your PC. Oh.
Your character named Tommy Angelo that is ratting out his friends and the mafia family to the police in order for exchange for police protection and for him and his family. Now, you're sitting in the diner talking to the sheriff, and you're telling him everything you've done. And then you're playing all the missions you've done. That's how the game kind of works. Graphics were way ahead of its time. Story was way ahead for its time. Music is fantastic. And it has that real have you ever seen the movie Godfather or wrong movie? Seen the movie Goodfellas?
Yes.
Or Casino? It has that Goodfellas feel to it, where you're kind of playing the character of Ray LaRotta's character, and you have 2 other characters that are you have Paulie and Sam. Paulie kind of plays the Joe Pesci character, the hothead, and then you have Sam, who's kind of the Robert De Niro. Calm down, hey, whatever. But that's not how he sounds.
Hey, it's fucking fun.
Fonz is a mafia character, but Vincenzo. I remember the characters' names, and I haven't played this game in a while. Vincenzo is the weapons expert, and he runs a little shack next to the restaurant, which is where Salieri, the Don, sits at and just eats pasta all day, I think. Luigi just cooks for him. But anyways, Vincenzo, he hands you a baseball bat, and he's like, he's like, I need something to rough up some hoodlums. He's like, here's a baseball bat. He's like, this thing was signed by the MVP of the league. And my character's like, really? He's like, no, but the guy you're beating over the head senseless with won't question you. So,
okay.
Voice acting's very good. Now, Mafia 2. There's a mission in Mafia 2 where you go and kill the character from the first game because he gets killed at the end of the game. Spoiler alert, but you know that's going to happen because if you've seen any mob movie, that's what happens. Everyone dies.
Correct.
So he gets shot while he's watering his garden 20 years after the fact. And these two guys show up and say, Salier sends his regards, and then shoots a shotgun through your chest in the middle, right in front of your family. And then they pull away like nothing happened. In Mafia 2, you get paid to do this mission. It's like, oh, yeah. And so they don't tell you that it's from the first game, but they show you the same cutscene, just with the updated graphics. Because there's like something like 8 years between each Mafia, or 10 years even. So it's kind of crazy. Number 4.
Number 4 for me, GTA Vice City.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto game that high?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to do Vice City that high. Simply because of the world. First off, this one played on PC for me. I played my first playthrough of this game. It was the first Grand Theft Auto I played. I had never played a game quite like it. So it has the memory impression on me there. The world that it set up. What an amazing world. Their version of 1980s Miami. Just great.
It was 70s.
It was 80s.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is 80s.
Yeah. So you had pretty much...
early 80s.
Yeah, you had Tony Montana's Miami there. So it was a perfect execution of it. The story was great, gameplay was great, graphics was great at the time. It's probably a little sharper on PC, I would assume, but there wasn't any aspect of this game I didn't like. I liked the condensed map of it. It wasn't a super huge map where you couldn't find where you were going. You remember the game Lego Island?
No.
For PC, never played it. I think it came out for console too, but it was a super small map, but it felt big.
I will say the one thing about San Andreas is I had that map memorized pretty well. Like, and the same thing with Mafia. Like, I had Mafia's maps memorized. Like, I didn't have to, because you had the one thing I didn't like about Mafia is you'd have to hit pause and look at the map to see where you were, and you always end up turning the wrong direction a lot because they didn't have a mini map, or the mini map was so small that you couldn't see anything, and the arrow they didn't have a like today's games. I wish would have in the older games where they would actually show you a GPS and tell you where to go rather than just have an arrow point. And in Mafia, they just had an arrow. That was it. And you had to hit pause to see where you were on the map, had to memorize the street name. You would get used to it to the point where you'd get the whole map memorized and you knew exactly when to turn because you would die a lot and have to replay the driving parts over and over and over again.
Yeah, I heard that was... Well, with Mafia, anyway, I know it was a huge thing where they didn't put the fast travel in the new one, I heard.
I didn't think they had fast travel in the second one either.
But the map is significantly bigger.
It's huge
in this one.
Yeah.
So not having fast travel on a map that size is a massive issue, especially when you're like completing like minor missions.
Well, my whole here. Okay. I'm an old school gamer. That's part of the game to me. So driving to one point,
I feel like I kind of look at it though as something. It's an innovation that works.
So I don't like that. I don't like it. I've never used fast track. Like I never skipped driving parts because that's part of the actual game. And like I said, we grew up with playing games with no continues. We grew up with
true.
We grew up with games like that where it was very trial and error.
Don't you feel like there's things that have been added to the games that are just like
correct?
Those are our new expectations of essentials.
I don't think that specific thing should be an expectation. To me, I think that driving is part of what makes the game fun. Otherwise, it gets really repetitive.
Is to turn in a cigarette to a player half across the map, and you're spending 5-6 minutes driving, and then you have to go back to where you started, so you turn right around. That's 12 minutes you could have been advancing the story. Yeah,
but I'm driving the car, I'm listening to music, I'm having a good time, running the light, getting distracted, fighting people at a laundromat, because you can do that. But yeah,
fair enough.
I don't think, to me, that's such a minor complaint. Now, a lot of people think that's a major thing in games. I don't think that. I think that you should have to drive it because it's part. If it's not going to be, If it's not part of the game, they should just get rid of it completely. Get rid of driving all completely then. If you don't want driving to be part of the game.
Yeah, I guess. I understand your point, but to some of us that don't have like tons and tons and tons of time to play, it's a nice feature to have in there. If you're
Then
trying
don't play the game.
All right, hipster douchebag. All right. All right. So we're at number. Did you do your number 4?
I didn't.
Okay.
It's the Sam and Max series.
Oh, okay.
Click and point adventure style game. This started shit. The first one I played was Sam and Max Hit the Road. And have you ever played that?
No,
heard of it?
I've not played the Sam and Max series.
Well, it's got that. It's click and point. So, like, if you ever played any LucasArts game, that's what they all were back then. So, you start off because it's a comedy game. They're the freelance police. They don't make any money at all, and it's the dog and the rabbit. He's called a hypergetic evil rabbit thingy.
Okay.
And then Sam's just a dog with a trench coat, but which is kind of awesome. But the first game opens up where they bust in. There's a girl on the railroad tracks and the train's coming, like old school cartoon kind of thing.
Right.
And they come in and save the day or whatever. Oh no, she's tied to a chair. That's what it is. She's tied to a chair, and they're like, the guy's about to swing an axe and kill her or something like that. So Sam and Max come in, save the day, stop the evildoer. They kill him actually, and then she's like, "Oh, thank you, Sam and Max, thank you." As they just leave her, as she's still tied up in the chair.
Okay.
So that sets the tone to the game. That's the kind of game it is. That's the kind of humor it is.
Alrighty.
I would, if you, as far as trying to, and it's it's a puzzle game. At least the remakes, the reboot for it, they called Sam and Max after they sold it to Telltale Games, because LucasArts used to have it and then Telltale bought it.
Oh, okay.
And then Telltale made it. They made seasons 1, 2, and 3, and had like a 5-part series for each game. Seasons 2 and 3 are on the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Network.
Oh, okay.
Season 1 isn't. Season 1 you can only play on PC or the Wii. They have a version on the Wii. But they're interesting stories. They're kind of ridiculous. There's one where you have to stop Santa from destroying the world, I guess. And Santa is Santa's being possessed by some demon. So you have to collect the 4 horsemen of apocalypse and place them in front of the North Pole and chant the Happy Happy Demon song.
Okay.
So
right.
yeah, it's as ridiculous as it sounds.
All right.
Number 3.
Number 3 for me, I actually swapped this one out on the fly here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with WrestleMania 2000
There you go.
for Nintendo 64. A lot of memories playing this game, and while we were kind of talking about games that we can
The second best wrestling game from THQ.
Okay, I'm okay with that because I did not own the other one, and I didn't really have any memories with No Mercy, but I was originally going to put GoldenEye 64 in this spot. Originally.
Right.
And as we were talking, my main reasoning that bumped WrestleMania to 3 from not even being on the list is the fact that I will still go back and play WrestleMania 2000 to this day. 17 years later, I will still play this game. And to me, I still remember the gameplay, how to do everything. I still enjoy to create a character in it. I'd still go in and create a goddamn character. I don't care. It wasn't painful to me.
We need to have a No Mercy day.
I'm
I can't play WrestleMania 2000 because No Mercy is the better version of it.
Okay.
So like you'll play No Mercy and you'll be like, okay, I know why this game is better. Like you'll know because you said you never really played it.
Correct.
So it's WrestleMania 2000, but it's all the things that WrestleMania 2000 kind of failed at, and they improved it.
Okay.
And it's better. The graphics are better, and the I don't know what you call it, the hit detection or whatever. It's just it flows a lot better. It makes WrestleMania 2000 unplayable. That's like the difference between the two.
Okay.
My number 3 is No Mercy, by the way. WWF No Mercy. But yeah, so No Mercy, kind of the same thing. Up until like I think SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. So like I would update characters and flop them out and create characters that were on the show and then put them.
I did the same thing with 2000.
I remember giving Kurt Angle the black straps when he was black for a while, and I shaved his head when he went bald. Did all that stuff.
All right.
I even had one. I gave him like MMA shorts once for one wrestling attire.
I ran out of created character spots.
I did too.
So you could have each character could have 4 skins. So I would use each one of those suits also, and then if I ran out of spots on that, I would start taking the pre-established characters and modifying them.
Okay.
So that's how in depth I got into it.
Number 2.
Did you do your 3?
No Mercy.
3 is okay.
Yeah,
Wait,
we went
did
wrestling for the same spots.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So 2 for me is going to be Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. One of the I had to throw sci-fi one in there just because I'm me. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I enjoy great storytelling in the game also, and they combine the hell out of it with this turn-based RPG. To this day, the game holds up. I know they released it on iOS, so you can play it on like an iPhone or an iPad or whatever. Huge hit on that store for the current generation of people who haven't played it. But it's a Star Wars story that goes thousands of years before the current stuff that they show, and they get into the history of Star Wars. But then it's a very intriguing story that they tell in the process. The gameplay, if you like turn-based RPGs, but it's a very solid in-depth game. The whole combat structure really works for it, and it was who developed that one? That was it doesn't matter. But for the sake of this, excellent game. If you're into RPGs and Star Wars, anyone listening, I recommend you at least give it a shot.
Number 2, Alone in the Dark, the originals, the original trilogy. What a perfect trilogy. A lot of people, I think I might be one of the only ones that like all 3 games. There are a lot of people that only like the first one and hate the second and third one. There was one guy that said the second one was unplayable. I watch a lot of reviews and stuff when people try to play games. The second one is unplayable, and they went over all the flaws of the game. And they must not have played it when it came out because, like we said earlier, a lot of the games that we played, a lot of trial and error in most games. You learn how to play the game by failing.
Correct.
What works, what doesn't work, and you play to the game's strengths and weaknesses. Alone in the Dark 2, they added in a shooter element to it, and the first game was survival horror. H.P. Lovecraft style horror themes to it. The main character is Edward Carnby. He is an alcoholic detective, I guess private investigator, that doesn't believe in the supernatural or anything like that, and he gets paid $45 to go investigate a haunted house, I guess. They want him to find the suicide note that was in the piano of the loft and then leave the house with it. And then discover on what happened to what's his name? The character who killed himself in the game.
Okay.
Throughout the game, there's diaries and books because back then there weren't cutscenes in games, so you would get most of your story of the game through reading. And they do have voice acting, so it does read it to you in case you're fucking retarded. But the guy killed himself because he was living. There was a demon or something in the house that would follow and torture him through like a number of years to the point where he couldn't take it anymore and he killed himself.
Okay. Good for him.
And his suicide letter, the way it's read, they're like, they are coming. They don't know I'm up here. So long. And then he hangs himself. The Carnaby said that he read the police reports of the house. He's like, Bruce Lee murders, suicides, everyone who's owned the house has killed themselves. Think of 1408, like that.
Okay.
That everyone who's owned the house has either killed themselves. There's been murders there. He's like, they've been ghosts that they said have been in the house, evil demons, spirits. And he's like, luckily to me, devil worship makes me smile. He's like, I look at it as a paid vacation. So he straps his, I think his nine or whatever, or his like revolver or some other gun. He just goes in there, like doesn't give a fuck, kind of thing. Tricked into going to the mission, or tricked going into the mansion, and then into monsters that jump through windows. A lot of like, if you ever played the original Resident Evil, a lot of Resident Evil themes came from this game. Everything, if you really think about it. Resident Evil is like a B-rated horror film or whatever.
Correct.
This is like its own original story, and it has a lot of H.P. Lovecraft like style to the storytelling in the game. And they have a lot of and it's a lot of puzzles that you find out through reading the books of how to do certain things. And it can be very cryptic at times, but it's a very, very must play and still playable to this day. It's not like it's an unplayable game, but it has the same has the controls, like, because has the Resident Evil controls. Resident Evil just copied and pasted the controls.
Okay.
We're holding up, makes your character walk, and you use the D-pad to steer him. Like he's like a race car. That's the way
Why not?
I can explain it. And you start from the attic and you work your way down to the house. It's a huge house. Alone in the Dark 2, it's have you seen Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yes.
It is Pirates of the Caribbean. Except the story is Pirates of the Caribbean. So a pirate named One-Eyed Jack kidnaps a girl named Grace Saunders, and because they're going to kill her to renew their pact so they can still stay immortal for every 100 years, kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean. And so they ripped off something. But anyways, so you're trying to save the Grace Saunders girl. Your partner goes in there first and gets killed immediately, so you go 2 days later on Christmas Eve, actually.
Why not?
So there's a part in the game where there's a cook, and you find a Santa Claus suit. So you put on the Santa Claus suit and you walk around, because the cook is like a little kid and won't call for help if he sees Santa Claus walking around the house. But if he sees Edward Carnby, he calls for help, and then every character from the game comes and kills you. I will give Alone in the Dark credit. They found a lot of creative death scenes. So after you die, they play music and they show like there's like a cut scene of what they do to your body. And there's in Alone in the Dark, the first Alone in the Dark, some zombie just drags your carcasses and sacrifices you to the house. That's the same cut scene for wherever you die, doesn't matter. And the second game, there's a couple different cut scenes. You have the one where they hang you from the ship and beat you and whip you while you're already dead. Seems kind of it doesn't really seem like
Gotta get it in. It's okay.
Accomplishes enough. There's another one where a huge humongous dude is like carrying your body and then throws you off a cliff. Very brutal, like
that takes care of it.
Cutscenes. The third Alone in the Dark is a Western theme, where they're filming a movie out there and the entire film crew disappears. So you go to investigate it. This one also has a lot of creative death scenes. This one has a lot more. There's one where they're hanging you from the top of the thing and they're just drinking to your dead body. There's another one where they take turns shooting you. You're just target practice. These two guys just take turns shooting you after you're dead. There's another one where they put your body up on like a platform and beat you with shovels.
Of course.
So in those and just kind of laughing because I thought they were funny. The games like I said, I've played these about 1,000 times. I mean, I'm not even kidding about that. The third game is like the first and second game put together. The second game fixed the controls from the first game, but got completely away from the horror aspect of the game. And the third one's not really scary, but it has like that sci-fi
kind of dark overtone.
Right.
Yeah.
The second game is more like Pirates of the Caribbean, an adventure game, and I think it's actually a really good story. I highly recommend all three of these games. They're like must plays, especially say you're into survival horror. If you're into survival horror, never played these games. You're kind of an asshole. I'm kidding. Number one.
Number one for me, I'm going to highly not recommend to anyone listening. Strongly not recommend. It's going to be World of Warcraft.
Oh, God.
This, just because of the impact it's had on my life, the amount of time that I've put into it, and it probably has changed me and my understanding of video games and how to interact with people online while I'm playing video games. Massively multiplayer online RPG. That's what it is. It's highly multiplayer. It's great storytelling in the game. A lot to see. You could spend countless hours in the world and become immersed in it and forget that you actually have a real life. The game envelops your entire life and you become part of the game pretty much. So it's actually kind of a frightening game in regards to that, but
I'll never play it. Don't
yeah,
worry.
as you should not have a life. I started playing the game like about it's been out for 11 or 12 years now. So probably about roughly 10 years ago, I started playing the game. And for the first 2 years I played it, it probably absorbed, a decent amount of my off time. Probably 60% of my time where I was not at work was dedicated to this game. I still will play it every now and then to this day. I'll play for like a month here, 2 months there, but I'm not nearly as hooked to it as I ever was. But really just overall great storytelling in the game. The multiplayer aspect of it is really fun unless you have a bunch of douchebag players, which is the case with anything. If you want to play alone, there's plenty of stuff in the game where you can play alone. They even implemented a whole Pokemon-style minigame where you can catch and battle your pets with other players. All that. You can go fishing for hours in the game if you want. You can travel in parks in the game. I mean, it's essentially a life simulator in that universe. So I think GTA 5 has probably sucked a good amount of people away from the game just because GTA 5 is also kind of like a life simulator to a degree, where a lot of except it's in the modern world, where World of Warcraft is the more RPG ancient version of that. So
my number one is Earthbound.
All right. I'm shocked.
What's there to say that I haven't said before about it?
I think we've actually covered that game once before on the show.
This game is the essence of my entire childhood, and it's the reason I'm still alive to this day. No, I'm kidding. But it's like it's what I had to live for kind of thing. Like, I was so into the story for this game. I think this is one of the best stories told in a video game, especially with no voice acting and no cutscenes when you really think about it. Everything is text, so you read everything, and there's so much you can do as far as like the world it's such a huge world, especially for Super Nintendo. And I remember being so blown away by it when I was young. Just completely blown away by it. The strategy guide it came with. When you read the strategy guide, every town had like a newspaper tell you what's going on in the town. So it told you what parts of the town to stay away from, that kind of stuff. And it was written like someone was writing a paper. And every town had its own like newspaper, and it was written by a different writer, different style writer. I think Threed was a zombie town. And it's like, this guy got his brains eaten. Don't go to this side of the town, or you might be joining his family, kind of stuff. So, really quirky sense of humor in the game. Very well written. Game does not take itself too seriously, and it is very, very good.
All right.
I don't want to spoil a lot for it, but a lot of people have played it. A lot of people haven't. I think it's rated the best RPG that no one's ever played. One of those. It's one of those ratings. Are we at a 3-hour mark today? This week?
2.5.
That's not as bad as I thought. I thought we were at 3. That's good. That's really, really good. You got anything else you want to add?
I truly don't. I liked our top 10.
I think we should continue that every week.
That's it. It's over. It's all over.
Let's call that dead radio time.
Silence.
All right. Yeah, that was the Pinfall wrap-up. I think we're getting to a point where we might have to rename the show.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we covered much wrestling.
Not really. Because wrestling.
All right. Tune in next week where Rob will eat a cow.
Yeah.